I'm Scott Weatherly. Welcome to 20th Century Geek. Welcome back. And this month we're talking forgotten comics. Comics that probably need re-evaluating, revisiting to see if they are still worth our time and if they shouldn't be forgotten. Brought out again. Get a lovely nice hardback out of some of these books. Then who else better to speak to about this than the great guys Matt and Jordan from Super Shakes, my local comic shop in Burton-upon-Trent. So I joined up with them the other week and we had a really good chat about what their thoughts were and some of the comics that they think are forgotten and should be re-evaluated. To be fair, we don't stay on topic the entire time. We take some detours, but it's all good. It's all comics related, mostly. So I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you on the other side. We're back with the boys from Super Shakes.
Hello.
Hey.
And for those that have either just joined the show or haven't got around to listening back, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Matt.
And I'm Jordan.
Okay.
And we are the co-owners, as well as Sean, but he's not here.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
The
He's
silent-
the invisible third.
the silent partner.
Silent partner.
Yeah.
The mastermind behind it all.
That's it,
Pulls
yeah.
the strings.
Sort of.
So if you want to know more about the shop, go back to I forgot what number it was now, but episode in February. But this one, we're going to talk about like forgotten comics. So really, it's what it is. I want to talk about like comics that from either your childhood or even just things you just think just over and overshadowed or have just been sort of like cast aside or forgotten about. So yeah, I'll give some examples. Recently, there's a podcast called Nerds Chatting.
Yeah.
Which I listen to quite a bit.
Okay.
And one of the guys on that, I think it's Ben, starts talking about. He's been talking about Guardians of the Galaxy. Obviously, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 coming out, and he just sort of says he's like hashtag not my Guardians, and he thinks back to like the original Guardians of the Galaxy when it was like when they did the Annihilator series and sort of.
Where like Yondu actually had a bow and arrow and.
Yeah, like the proper like the original
Yeah.
70s, kind of guys that nobody talks about now because now it's Groot, Rocket, Peter Quill, and all that kind of stuff.
Well, it's like you look on they're doing a new one coming up, and I'm sure one of the first issues on the cover it's got Star-Lord just winding in a tape. Like the tape has made its way into it. That's
just the soundtrack has made its way into the comic.
because it's like massive, like so.
That's a get overshadowed, isn't it?
Yeah, it's weird how they want to do that. Like they come up with a remake, they redesign stuff, and it's like, okay, we'll update it a little bit, we'll try and make it relevant, and then like that version completely just coats over what was before.
Well, don't look back. Don't look back.
Yeah, that's it. Like that's it. Yeah.
That's like the perfect point to get new readers, isn't it?
Yeah.
So all the people that have watched the film now want to read the book, and then you've got all these weirdos that you don't know.
Yeah.
Whereas if they change it completely,
Well,
because it's not like Guardians of the Galaxy was. It was a forgotten
book.
Yeah.
I think it's the entry point, but I suppose you could go back and go, oh, what was it before?
Yeah.
Because they did. I think they did one called Guardians 3000.
Yeah.
And they actually tried to. They did it for the original character. It didn't run very long. To be fair, recently. So they tried, I suppose.
Yeah, I did. I think we got a poster somewhere.
Yeah. I remember reading a couple of issues.
Dusty poster. Hey, what's that up?
No one cares.
Who knows
Where's
who they
Batman?
are?
Off he goes.
Exactly.
Because the other one then is I've spoken recently to the guys from Xenozoic Xenophiles, and they are big fans of Xenozoic Tales, which is a book that was originally released in the late 80s, and called Xenozoic Tales, and it's about a post-apocalyptic world where the human race was driven underground for 400 years, and when we come out we find that like dinosaurs exist again. And then it's basically like Mad Max, but with dinosaurs.
With dinosaurs,
And it's badass.
Yeah.
Like the art, it's got by a guy called Mark Schultz, and he did the writing, he does the art, and it looks like proper 70s art as well. So it's all like fine, like inks and pencils and stuff. And I can't believe like no one talks about it.
Yeah.
It's just it's like the dinosaurs.
Literally, he's releasing another book apparently. He's been working on some art that's going to come out later this year, early next year.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping it'll get a bit of a push.
Yeah.
But I bought the volumes not long ago, and that's how I sort of like ended up getting in contact with the guys from
Yeah.
Xenozoic.
Yeah.
But you look at it, and I thought, oh, this must be from the 70s.
Yeah.
And when you sort of like, no, it was throughout the
This is-
90s.
yeah.
I'm just like,
Yeah.
wow. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
This
I
guy's
think,
old school.
especially because the 90s are so recognisable, though. So I suppose
Yeah.
if you don't fit into
Oh, this is
guns
anti-90s.
beside, like that are
Yeah,
bigger
yeah.
than the person holding
Yes,
it,
yeah,
Yeah.
No shoulder pads. No, I'm not having that.
Yeah. Must be 80s.
Yeah, this person can draw feet. This
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I feel like 90s were very dinosaur heavy though. Now I think about it, like
Yeah.
there seems to have been a lot of dinosaurs. I mean, I know when I
Jurassic
was growing
Park,
up, yeah,
Yeah.
Jurassic Park was
Yeah.
mid 90s, so I
Yeah.
mean that was obviously the boom. But I remember loving dinosaurs when I was little. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering-
Every kid loves dinosaurs.
Yeah, I
There's
don't know
like
why
a
that
phase that
It's
kids
like,
seem to go through where they just
Yeah.
love dinosaurs and they know all the names.
yeah.
And then we, like, all of us at one point
Yeah.
knew all the names.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
What
Could-
happened?
No,
I don't know.
could
it's
do
gone.
now.
That is.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's gone.
You can only name the ones in Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Well, even now, recently, my daughter someone gave her a book. It was one of my first dinosaur books.
Yeah.
She's a little girl and she quite likes them.
Yeah.
And there was no Brontosaurus. And I was
Yeah.
like, where's that?
Yeah.
I had to Google it and they've renamed it.
Hey?
Yeah.
It's called an apatosaur now.
What?
And I was just like, whoa.
There's a few
Yeah.
of them, isn't there?
Yeah,
Like,
you can't go around changing the names of
Yeah.
dinosaurs.
What's that all about?
Don't know. It was, some scientist had a reason, I suppose.
there's a
But,
few that have changed names.
yeah. So, yeah, dinosaurs, man. You can't even trust dinosaurs.
No,
these
that's
days.
it.
Can't trust anyone.
That's not right.
Cover
That
it.
No, no,
is.
no.
So we're going to get to Jurassic Park in 20 years and be like, yeah, this is all. It's all been like deleted.
Have
you know
you
what I
seen
mean?
an actual velociraptor? That
What,
is
like-
not a velociraptor in
Yeah,
Jurassic
yeah,
Park.
Oh yeah.
It's like a little
yeah.
chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally. They got feathers.
Yeah.
They're now saying that dinosaurs had feathers. and
All
stuff.
of them had
Yeah.
feathers.
Yeah. Because the guy who's writing Jurassic World 2 actually came out and was like, don't worry. We're not going to add feathers
Yeah.
to the new dinosaurs.
That's
They
weird.
will still be like as you recognise them.
Yeah, it's not scary, are they?
No. Yeah. If
Yeah.
I was
The
running that, I'd be
T-Rexes
like,
aren't that
It,
big either,
like, it
are
would
they?
be in
Yeah,
person.
yeah.
I think it
Yeah.
wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Because when I went to a museum and I was like, oh man, like T-Rex, that's going to be scary. Because
Yeah.
I'm suddenly scared of really big things now. I don't
Yeah.
know where that fear came from, but and then like when you actually see the skeleton, you're like, oh,
It's
he's not too bad
it's not that
actually.
big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then, if that was alive,
Yeah.
that would change.
that
it
would be
well, you got
different.
teeth,
Yeah.
teeth like as big as your hand.
Yeah,
If
Like,
that was
it's
coming at
different.
you,
it would
you
be
know.
scary, but it's like when,
think you used
when you're
to-
little,
yeah.
yeah, you're like you
Well,
think
It's
the one in
huge
Jurassic
scale
Park, the
is
one in Jurassic Park is well bigger than.
yeah, it's
them,
not bigger than a house.
than
is it?
those
Oh
in
yeah,
the
yeah,
movie.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what you. I mean, after seeing Godzilla, when they're not Godzilla,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you're like, oh, that's pretty small.
Yeah.
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 That's it. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
quite short. Actually.
I can punch a T-Rex
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's the appeal when you're little. Like, I mean, everything's big when you're little, but
Yeah.
dinosaurs
Yeah.
are like these massive hulking things that
Yeah.
just like roam
Well, they-
around and
they're like-
tore stuff apart.
That's what I'm
like-
saying. But that's
Yeah.
the thing is, he said they tore. They were real.
Yeah,
So they're like, oh, look at these monsters. Yeah, but they existed.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
that's what I like.
That's
them.
yeah, and as well, it's not just that. There's the ones that don't do that. It's like that's like the first universe building thing you experience
yeah.
is
Yeah.
the dinosaurs. It's like this one eats this one who
Yeah.
Yeah.
lived with this one,
yeah,
and then it all comes back round to this one,
yeah,
and that one wasn't even alive when this one was alive.
yeah.
Yeah.
And mammoths don't like.
Yeah.
They're not around when dinosaurs are
Yeah.
around, but you think they are because
Yeah.
of films.
Well, this is it when you sort of like when the moment someone told me, like, you know, I remember, like, must have been at school at some point, someone told me cavemen and dinosaurs never actually met.
Yeah,
That ruined my world.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Messes you up.
ruined it. So, oh no! What?
What?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, millions of years apart. Oh,
It's like
man.
yeah, you just imagine them riding them and
Yeah, you might as well tell me Santa don't exist. No,
Yeah,
it's
that's
ruined
it.
everything.
yeah.
It's the first.
It is weird. Yeah, if you watch Cosmos with Neil deGrasse Tyson,
Yeah.
he gets a calendar out, starts walking over this giant calendar and showing you like the timeline of everything. Full on messes with your head for
Yeah.
ages. Like, you have to rewind a couple of times. Like, oh, you're on about Neil. That ain't right.
Don't
Well,
lie
I've
to
seen that
me.
before time, mate. You're lying to me.
Yeah.
That's not what the vicar told me. Yeah,
Yeah,
but you're right about dinosaurs in the 90s because I think there was like a
Was
weird
Turok
thing.
as well.
Turok
Yeah, which
was
was
a
like-
big
Yeah.
A bit like I really like Turok.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of
He's a
dinosaur.
dinosaur hunter.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's even cooler.
Yeah,
Yeah.
someone who's badass enough to take
Yeah,
on
and he
dinosaurs.
was like an American Indian, wasn't he? So
Yeah.
Yeah. What happened? Because was that based on a game or was that always a computer?
There was-
game?
No,
It was a comic.
It
comic
was a comic
first.
first,
Yeah.
then a
Yeah.
computer. Because
Yeah.
I knew there was a computer
The
game.
computer
the
game
computer
was
game is what
amazing.
people would know. I'm sure.
Yeah. So,
I'm sure
Turok 2 Seeds of Evil gave me nightmares, like in the best way.
Was
Like,
that, what was the gun? That,
cerebral ball.
yeah,
Oh
that's
man.
and it went like buried.
Oh yeah, shot up a tiny rocket that drilled into their brain, and all the brain juice just flew out. It was like the most brutal
Yeah.
game. Like, and like when the dinosaurs were on the floor, you could just mutilate the corpses, just go
Yeah.
up and shoot them again.
And they just,
and
like,
they'd
moving
bleed. Yeah, it was so.
What are you doing, son? Nothing.
Yeah, I remember I rented that game, played it for hours, and then that night when I went to sleep, I closed my eyes and there was just
Cerebral
dinosaur
ball.
guts everywhere. Like, oh,
Coming
man.
back for revenge.
it was,
Oh, man.
it was too much.
Well, that's a really good example then of why things. I always thought it was a game first.
Yeah,
I
No,
knew
yeah, it was-
Turok.
yeah.
When I played Turok 2, I was always convinced that came first.
But it's weird that
Yeah.
someone found that it would have been an obscure comic at
Yeah.
the time,
Yeah.
and then made a game of it.
yeah.
Well,
Like, why that? Like,
well,
it's
that's
such a weird
Like,
one, isn't
it's
it?
like so. Right, we've got GoldenEye.
Yeah.
We can now make anything like
Yeah.
this. Turok.
Yeah,
I've got this.
Where-
I've got this book.
Yeah. It's the weirdest
Well, that's where there's
progression.
That's
but-
it. Well, because going back to Xenozoic, that was made into a cartoon.
yeah,
Yeah.
There's like 13 or 15
Oh,
episodes.
really?
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Made by made by the people who sort of did the X-Men animated series
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Spider-Man. They did the animation for
Yeah.
that. So it's relatively good quality for the early 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was also a fighting game.
Really?
Yeah, so there was a game on the PS1 for Xenozoic, and so like you say, someone's gone and gone. It's a good idea. This
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
I'm going to put money in doing this.
Start running with it.
Yeah. So yeah, people make those weird decisions. Then it just sort of falls by the
Yeah.
wayside.
Yeah.
Why did the turtles survive and
Yeah.
dinosaurs not?
Because
Yeah.
again, if it was in that prime time, like dinosaurs or anyone's into dinosaurs,
Oh, yeah.
like when it's
Yeah.
at that
Would-
point, because there was loads of dinosaur
Well, do you remember-
cartoons
Do
as
you,
well.
yeah,
like,
well,
if
do you
it was
remember dinosaur? What are they called? Dino Riders.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Do you remember
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Like literally, like dinosaurs with like robot bits of kit,
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
guns. Like there's a,
Yeah.
you have like a Stegosaurus with a gun on its back.
I feel like if kids are always into it, how did they go out of fashion?
yeah,
That's
Because
it.
all you need to do is make something with dinosaurs in, and then they're still into it.
yeah.
Well, I don't. Where's
Power
it going?
Rangers. Power Rangers
Yeah.
killed it all. Well,
Yeah.
no, they
They did a
they're
dinosaur.
dinosaurs.
Yeah.
That was dinosaurs,
See?
wasn't it?
Yeah.
First?
Dinosaurs aren't
Yeah.
extinct. They all just come around again. They're better
Yeah.
than zombies. Just keep coming
They
around.
are.
Keep
That's
coming
it.
around.
Yeah.
I'm telling you though, this day and age, like I'm gonna back. If there was going to be a Xenozoic film
Yeah.
Yeah.
after Mad Max and Jurassic
Yeah, yeah.
World, yeah, I'll be there. Take my money.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
post-apocalyptic's really in right now.
Yeah.
Like everything's dystopian, everyth's post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
Like
It's because we're almost there.
That's it. Yes, it's right
it.
round the corner.
We're almost
The-
living.
yeah.
fear, the
Yeah.
doomsday clock's
Doomsday,
ticking.
yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
It's not long.
Yeah, it's gone from just like absolutely speculative fiction to
Yeah.
like
I think-
realism.
I think-
Ch- Children of Men is going to be set like 2019. I'm telling you.
Clive Owen's going to
Yeah.
look exactly the same.
That scene where Clive Owen is chased out of a coffee shop and just runs across the street like that will actually happen
Yeah.
to Clive
Yeah.
Owen.
That's a coster.
I think you'll see we won't get as much post-apocalyptic in the
No.
next few years because it's too
Yeah.
relevant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And you
Well-
start getting the other stuff and
I think that they say it's a bubble, the comic book movies and stuff.
yeah.
I think the reason it's been such a bubble is because we've had such a shit time of it for the last couple of years. Like,
Yeah,
since 2008 when you get the economic, the economic
Yeah.
downturn.
yeah,
And everything's gone on with like
Well,
the
it's-
war thing. You need those. Everyone wants those heroes that have got like their shit together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's ever since social media has existed
Yeah.
is the time that like superhero comics have, well, comics, films, and comics have
Mm.
just kind of ballooned,
Mm.
and bad news has as well.
yeah.
I don't know as we are in as different a situation as we. I mean,
No.
right now is a bit hectic. But
Yeah.
we're always in this terrible situation.
Yeah,
but
we're always-
you just
We're always 1 minute away from destruction.
Yeah.
It's just because you scroll through it all the time now.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the difference. Is it's ever present in
Yeah,
no matter where
yeah.
you look. Whereas before we were just you shadowed from it, aren't you? Like
That's
it was
it,
just it was like bad stuff's happening, but you don't see it all the time. You don't
you
hear
see it when
about
you
it.
watch the
Ah,
news.
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah,
Like-
I clearly watch the news.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Because you think, oh, I'm watching the news. That's depressing.
Yeah.
I'm going to scroll
Yeah.
through Twitter.
Yeah.
Death,
Yeah.
political corruption.
That's it.
It's
Ooh, kitten on the tree.
basically
He's
harder
like-
to avoid bad
Yeah.
news.
Yeah.
Which it should be really because there's a world of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like you're living in your happy little bubble, but
Yeah.
these other
It's
people.
out there.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem, isn't it? That no one
Yeah.
everyone just ignores it because it's in a different country.
And I suppose that's why, like you
Yeah.
said, that's why the superheroes have become.
Yeah.
Because people want that escape. They want that,
Yeah.
I suppose, that moral certainty.
Well, that's what they're born from, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
They're born from World War II, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
And
Yeah.
So-
That moral character that's gonna,
created mainly by Jewish creators.
yeah,
Superman
and
Yeah.
and
Captain America and all
yeah,
that.
yeah, Nazi Captain America. We're created
Yeah.
by two Jewish, created by two Jewish
Yeah,
guys.
that's it.
Yeah.
It's all going well.
yeah.
What a time.
It's a hard time.
Yeah, it's hard time for Cap. He's
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
But that's why I find what Marvel are doing now so confusing, and I think that's why Rebirth has been such a success because they've gone back to the energy, that almost that fun.
Yeah.
What makes them success is because they become like a moral compass.
Yeah.
The Superman thing of like, they will join you in the light.
Yeah.
Is exactly what they're going for, and that's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
I think people want, which is why they're so successful.
Yeah. Whereas I think you can change little bits or something and get away with it and it's fine. It's like Nick Fury's black. That's just one thing on its own, and people, you might get a few racist people murmuring.
Yeah.
But it's only that. But when you do everything, it's like you're uniting every person that's against like racist, sexist, all of them join in one big voice.
Everyone from Gamergate,
And-
they just shift
Yeah.
to
and
comics.
then it becomes too destructive.
Yeah.
And then you also alienate the people that actually want to
Yeah.
read. Oh yeah, I just want to read something with, Steve Rogers in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
Seriously.
okay, well this is Steve Rogers, but he's also a Nazi. It's like, well that's not Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
That's the absolute core of what Steve Rogers
Yeah.
I think-
isn't.
Yeah, and I think that was my. So when when they did the new Captain America, it came out. I was proper excited. I'm going to read that. I'm really looking forward to it. We haven't had a good. Cap's been old, or he's been
Yeah.
something else, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Finally, we've got
So
normal Captain America.
so I'm like, all right. I'm going to let I like the fact Sam Wilson's Captain America. I enjoyed a lot of that.
Yeah.
So I'll let him. He can carry on. That's
Yeah.
been quite good. So
Yeah.
we get new Cap and a new suit with a new shield. This
Yeah.
could be exciting. And in the end issue, Hail Hydra. I was like,
Yeah.
right, well I'm done.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. To be fair though, even without that, it was a bad issue. I remember reading. It was
Oh, yeah.
it was like a 70-year-old had been told, "Have you ever heard of this Twitter?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh right," and then made loads of references that were
Modern references.
Yeah,
I'm
and
young. I'm cool.
yeah, like, "Are you doing a tweet?"
yeah.
I am Cap, like it's something like, and then
It felt forced. And I
Yeah,
think that's
it's-
what a lot of Marvel does at the moment. Like I say, they're bringing in young characters. I think we've talked before. Some of it worked. I
Yeah.
think Miss Marvel. I can't remember the bloody name now.
what the character.
Yeah. What's her name? The actual like her secret identity.
Yeah.
The young Islamic girl.
Yeah,
That's
Miss
it.
Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kamala
Khan.
Yeah.
There you go. That series has been really good.
Yeah.
I will dip in and out of that, and I've actually really enjoyed
Yeah,
some of that.
I'm reading Champions.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
That's all. I mean, they're all pretty much all new characters in that.
Yeah.
All of them are good. It's enjoyable.
But it's like I say, it's when they do the ones I haven't enjoyed or I completely dropped off was like female Thor.
Yeah.
Did
Well,
just
because
sort of like, it was
in a time when you're
yeah.
like, it's okay, but you like if you want to read normal Thor, there is
Yeah.
no normal Thor to
Yeah.
read.
Yeah.
And
Well-
they just did one. They did one recently. It was like a 5-part, and it did really well.
Yeah.
We sold loads because
Mm.
people just want to read
Thor.
about Thor. Yeah.
That's
It's-
it.
and again, it's that thing with the films. They've
Yeah.
got Thor in the films, so come and read Thor, and it's you know,
There is
Yeah.
no Thor.
and it's
That's it.
a different person.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. But that's it. Have the alternative.
Yeah.
Like, I've got no. That's it. Some of them work, but I don't want to have like white, middle-aged rant.
Yeah, yeah,
But it is that thing of like I've got no problem with these sort of alternatives because some of them are really good.
yeah,
And the fact of the matter is, I know young people that are reading them. It's
Yeah.
bringing them into comics.
Yeah.
That's good.
yeah,
But that does not mean that you've got to take the others away.
Yeah.
yeah. That's the because everything, and even the things that they kind of kept, like Old Man Logan.
Yeah.
But you're just like, yeah, but it's a different Wolverine.
It's not Wolverine.
It's not even the Wolverine that we've had. 'Cause
Yeah.
he's dead.
Yeah.
So even the ones that you've got have changed, and
Yeah. I find that Wolverine has become back because he'll be back probably this summer.
he's
With his
got,
new thing.
yeah.
But so you've got look, what's it? X-23.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's been good as Wolverine actually.
Yeah,
Again, I'll
yeah.
dip into that, and that's been
I
quite
think
good.
I think, to be honest, like I've been following, recently Marvel has said diversity is massively.
broken them.
And everyone's saying no, it's a bad story. I've read a lot of them, and at the start, at least, they were actually all pretty good.
Yeah.
So I think, as you know, they are right in that the people they're aiming them at for the diversity aren't reading them.
Yeah.
And,
No, they're not.
And then you've got this. They say that, and everyone kind of kicks back like, "Yo, you've got crap stories. That's why." And I feel like there's a lot of underlying things where people just won't admit, "No, I don't want to read it because it's a girl."
Yeah.
And it's like, that's fair enough, because if you don't relate to it,
Yeah.
What would you want to?
but they're so people get offended
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
because they think they're being called racist or sexist.
yeah, it's like
It's a vicious cycle, isn't it?
I completely agree with what you're saying, because the thing is, some of them I'll read and I've dipped in, and it's like they plan in the change. So they bring in Kamala Khan, and that series has been good. They bring in sort of like female thought, it starts off good. They bring in these things, and they've got like a almost like a sprint where they go, great idea, off to the races, boom,
Yeah.
and then like 7 or 8 issues in, they're like, oh, we've got to keep writing this now, and I'm not sure what to do, and they just lose steam, and they lose sense of the character.
I think they're on a point now where it's all they're going to turn it all back. I think.
Yeah.
But I mean, DC have done the rebirth, and all that's done is changed everything back.
Yeah.
But then you'll have little things that they'll change, and that's how I think you've got to be subtle. And
Yeah. The thing is, you said about know your audience. One of the big things is like know what your hook is.
Yeah.
Why are people choosing you?
Yeah.
And that comes to everything. And with Marvel, they don't know.
Yeah.
Like DC,
No, I
know.
think
Like their characters are their characters.
There's a point where, because the cinematic market is so big, that's becoming their aimed market, but it's not. It doesn't necessarily.
That's what
Just
I mean.
because people like the film doesn't mean that it's
They
like
don't like
books.
the
They do not
Just
know.
because you watch Game of Thrones doesn't mean you never read a page of it.
Yeah.
You
That's
just
it.
might not want to read the.
But that's
book.
what I mean. They've got people, and obviously they've got Disney on their back saying, "We want to sell merchandise,
Yeah.
and you want to do that cross promotion and all that kind of stuff." So you've got the films, then you've got the cartoons, and then you've got the comics. And I'll tell you what, now the comics are at the bottom of that pile.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Even though they're the source material, but they do not know what their audience is.
No.
So they do all this stuff.
Well, I think they're
and
trying to tap that. They're trying to climb up the line.
Yeah, some of it's worked.
Yeah.
And I think that's brilliant. And really, good for them. And I think some of
Yeah.
it, I've really enjoyed some of it. Some of it, there's like you literally are hammering this to death.
Like you say, it's forced. It's not subtle, and
Yeah.
that's the problem. And because it's almost like brand wide, like everyone seems to have a change. Like you can't help but think that it would, if you were that tiny sort of category that they're appealing to. It feels inauthentic. Like imagine going into a coffee shop that you've been into. Like every week for the rest of your life, and suddenly there's a person on the front of it that looks exactly like you, and then it's just like, oh, does that mean that I'm supposed to buy that now then?
Yeah.
Oh, does,
You care
does
about
that,
me now.
Does that
Oh,
coffee?
brilliant.
Oh, that coffee must be for me then. I'll have to buy that coffee. That's
Yeah.
not how it would work. You'd
No.
just be like, what's this guy doing?
Yeah.
Like, why? It just
Yeah,
feels
yeah.
like, if they're pushing it at you that hard, it doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna buy into it
Yeah.
straight away.
There's
It makes it
certain-
feel like offensive almost. Like,
It is. It's
yeah.
that sort of like what they call pro. It's almost like pro-ism,
Yeah.
pro-racism, pro-sexism. It's like no, we're doing this because we want to. We really care about
Like
you.
Yeah.
reverse racism.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Too much, and it's sort of inauthentic.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's there's so many things as well. There's certain things that you can change about a character without it changing the character.
Yeah.
It's like people, you go through
Yeah.
your life, you're not always going to be the same. But there's core parts of you that if I saw you in 20 years' time, you might be
Yeah.
like, oh, he's changed, but it's still
Yeah.
me.
Yeah,
And
That's it.
It's the same with the character. So once you change Captain America, his core thing is that he is the hero, and he's a good guy. He's a leader,
Mm-hmm.
and he fights for freedom no matter what. And as soon as you put him as Hydra, that is the exact opposite of his core belief.
Yeah.
Because you're not fighting for freedom anymore.
No,
You're fighting for control. That's
Yeah.
what.
Yeah.
So Captain America is not about controlling people.
Yeah.
but it
And
always
you've got it wrong.
invalidates everything he stood for in the first
yeah.
Civil War. You're like, well, I'm struggling to
It,
take any of it seriously.
And
But
it just seems to me like it's weak storytelling from a. If you're just going to write that story,
yeah,
fair enough.
yeah,
But when you're using these characters, that's the difference between like writing professionally writing for Marvel and fan fiction.
If this was, if I'll tell you what, if this Secret Empire, if this Captain America story was done as a, you know, as a concept to start with, as a starting concept for say an image book, I bet it would do really, really well.
Yeah, and that's it. Like, if it's as long as you haven't got the things that make it,
The
things that make
75 years
people
worth of
angry with
history
it.
behind it.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, at the same time, I've not read any of it. I don't know where it's going. If they do a thing where Captain America starts fighting it, starts realizing, and then fighting it, it's like, then you know, you can take it all back and.
Well, it's that thing of
Well,
like, you
it's
know,
still- it just seems-
I like alternate versions of characters. So when
Yeah.
they did like House of M, or they did like a What If, and you know
Yeah.
it's that,
Yeah,
and you
like
go,
Yeah.
oh,
Red
that's
Sun
an interesting
Superman,
take.
Yeah.
or
Yeah, those
Yeah.
I like, and you
Yeah.
think that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
so why don't you just do Captain Hydra
Yeah.
as a separate series?
Yeah,
Offend people if it might do, but it's not affecting the main storyline.
it's not changing the character.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
They'll do Legacy, and then all this will be erased anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It won't matter in a year's time because he'll be back in his red, white, and blue, and
Yeah.
we'll be back off to.
Yeah.
and
whatever.
the thing is, people now will be like, yeah, who cares? It's not going to work, but it will.
Yeah.
Like all they have to do is one good story,
Yeah.
and then everyone will hook on it and they'll be on board.
But that's what it comes down to: is
Yeah.
good story.
Mm.
I mean, going back to the theme, what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Why is it? Why
We're
comes
kind
it?
of-
Yeah. But the thing is, that's what I'm saying. That I think a
Yeah.
lot of this, you know, you see about comics that get, you know, that fall by the wayside. A lot of it is because of the controversy around other things that overshadow them, and it's not
Yeah.
always good stuff.
No.
So, like, you know, I was thinking. Recently, I've actually gone back and I've been reading a lot. This is about the 90s.
Yeah.
I've gone back to like the Marvel UK stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Some good, some
So
like,
not.
really not good.
Yeah.
really suffers from 90s. There's a character called Kill Power, which is like, yeah, you couldn't get
That-
more
yeah,
like, on the
that's-
nose. There's a book.
Captain 90s.
Yeah,
That's basically
seriously.
what it is,
Oh, and
yeah.
he's like, he's got the mentality of a child in the body of like a super warrior, and shoulder pads to match and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And he has it's him and Motor Mouth, and she can have the sonic scream. Like, there's no subtlety in this at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, they are fun.
Yeah.
Like really stupid fun.
Yeah.
But no one will remember Marvel UK.
No.
Like
Not
it's
not unless it's in jest or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's it. They always poke
Yeah.
fun at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that the only two like Union Jack crops up every now and then
Yeah.
as a bit of a almost as a cameo reference,
Yeah, just
Yeah.
to say like
to pull people back in.
That's it,
like,
yeah, yeah.
Remember, it's Marvel.
Yeah.
that's what, yeah, or almost like, do you remember this person from the
Yeah.
UK? And then they'll make fun of Captain Britain or
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, there's like characters that I think, you know, I've been reading like Knights of Pendragon and a bit of Excalibur and all this
Yeah.
other stuff
Yeah.
before it became just an X-Men book,
Yeah.
and some of it's really good.
Yeah.
You know, you've got Alan Davis art and Chris Claremont doing the first sort of bit of Excalibur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really good fun. Like, you know, they even had like an X-Men crossover. And it was
Yeah.
just sort
Yeah.
of-
But
no
that's-
one ever
yeah,
talks
that's-
about it.
that's what
Where's
they
the
do.
collection of that?
That's it.
Yeah. Well, if they did do a collection, it wouldn't be. They'd just sell it as normal Marvel. wouldn't
Yeah.
they? That's the thing. Like,
Yeah, oh yeah. But I
Yeah.
want an omnibus. I want
Yeah.
I want Excalibur UK, you know, the Excalibur Volume 1 omnibus. Do the
Yeah.
first 25 issues.
I'm sure they've got. You
Yeah.
can get it.
No.
You
I've
can
looked.
get it anyway.
No, seriously. They've not Excalibur's they've had like the
Maybe,
visions.
is it
They've
like
done it
maybe
as
digitally. I
they've
think.
done it as trades
Hmm.
like years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like because they were so long, I think it was like a limited run. They're like 40 quid each now
Yeah.
to find
Yeah, that-
anywhere.
Yeah.
That's the
So-
trouble, isn't it?
I'm hoping they do because they're doing the complete series as well,
Yeah.
which have been really good.
All you need
Or
is for
the
them to use one in the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One
That's true,
character
yeah.
in a film, and
That's
then,
it.
then you'll get the
Back on the
trades
scene.
out.
Oh man, for Captain Britain to return. That'd be
Yeah.
Imagine,
awesome.
yeah.
Brian Braddock, I'd love that.
Yeah.
I'd be so chuffed if
Yeah.
that
That would be
happened.
amazing. Just even if it was just. No, you wouldn't want to come in. If he just appeared and helped him out,
Yeah,
just someone
Yeah.
like that. As long as he was fighting in
I
some
think-
way.
Yeah, well, he's one of those characters, a bit like Quicksilver, that he's not because his sister's a mutant.
Yeah.
It's Psylocke has already appeared in the films.
Yeah.
and she is Brian Braddock's sister,
Yeah.
despite being Oriental. But
Yeah.
there's a whole backstory to it.
Yeah.
But like, so she's a mutant. It's never been determined whether his powers are sort of like, you know, mutant based on stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know what studio he sits under.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he might be a mutant.
Yeah. So I don't know which contract he comes under, but I'd love it if, like,
Yeah.
in the next Dark, you know, in the Dark Phoenix, the next Marvel film,
Yeah.
X-Men film, if they were to just show like her like kicking ass of the world, and in
Yeah.
Britain, just Captain Britain.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
Well, there's not many. You always like they'll do the occasional show you a couple of people from around the world.
Yeah.
There's never British superheroes, is there? You never get a
Well, I always think that, you know, if you were to live in a superhero world,
yeah.
Britain, safest place.
Yeah.
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 Nothing happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. It's always they'll be like in remote parts of Africa. They'll have they'll have them in India, China.
Yeah.
Seem to have a lot.
Yeah.
Japan, America's just
Riddled.
Yeah.
teeming.
I think at this point, 40% of the population,
Yeah.
superpowers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what? How many? There's 5 Green Lanterns from Earth. All of them from America. Every single one of them.
Yeah.
And you just think
Bravest
the
country in the world.
Yeah. Exactly. Nonsense.
Crazy.
Yeah. No, I would love that. Yeah. There was a I don't know if you ever saw it, but there was a thing. I might even see if I can dig it out at some point. But there was someone put up a poster or a part of poster artwork on Twitter, and it sort of did the rounds and stuff. And there was a couple of headlines about it. And it was some woman who was a poster artist, and she'd been commissioned by an undisclosed British production company
Yeah.
to do promotion art for a Captain, either a Captain Britain or an MI13 promo video. Then they were
Yeah.
going to start
Alright.
shipping it around to channels and stuff.
Yeah.
And she did this poster, and it was awesome.
Really?
Like someone had been put in to play like Captain Britain, not cast, but they're like, oh, just
Yeah.
use that
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah, just-
person. And then it was brilliant.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want that show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And nothing's ever come of it. But
I just love something like. Did you read Secret Wars, the new one?
yeah.
Because he was in that, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Briefly.
Yeah.
It was just something like that. You know,
Just
where
a
he's just in
little-
it for a little bit,
cameo
and then
like,
Yeah.
you were gutted when he left.
Yeah.
Even though he's only in it for, you're like, oh no.
It's such a good
That's what you
character.
want though. Give people a bite,
Yeah.
so that
Yeah,
everyone
yeah.
starts
Yeah.
campaigning for more of them.
That's
like,
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see. More, yeah. I mean, these lost characters. There's some that like they could just do with the reboot. Like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can, like we were saying with the Guardians of the Galaxy, they've been taken over by the film versions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, go back and take the concept of some of these characters and reboot them. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a character called Death's Head,
Yeah.
who was a robot bounty hunter, who there was a Death's Head, then there's Death's Head 2, because he ends up killing himself and taking over a different body, and like it's really messed up,
Yeah.
like bizarre, like
Yeah.
stuff where you can tell that like Marvel UK has been like, look, you've got your characters, do what you want, like
Yeah.
nobody cares. All right, I'm gonna have an intergalactic bounty hunter
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
robot that sort of it's mental.
Because I think that you can see why people don't remember. None of that
Yeah.
says to you, oh, it's a Marvel comic.
Yeah.
Oh
It
yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
sound
yeah.
anything like a Marvel comic.
No, it's not.
Why-
It's not. It crosses over with Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And why would you? That would be the first thing. If you were told, right, we're doing Marvel UK. We want you to make a title. You'd want something that fit in with
Yeah.
everything else.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
because it's from the 90s,
Yeah.
they're just like, whoa,
Yeah.
how big can we make the guns?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, I don't know.
You could
That
totally
happy
revamp them and
stage.
bring them back. Yeah.
uh,
If they're bringing back, like, if Deadpool can come back, I mean, to be fair, he's been a mainstay since the 90s.
yeah,
But if they are going to now make a film with Deadpool and Cable,
yeah.
I'm
But I mean,
pretty
even
sure
if-
we could bring
even
back
if you
other
look
things
at,
from
if
the
you
90s.
look at him in the 90s,
Yeah.
Oh, he's not.
He
He's
looks
not.
stupid, doesn't he?
no, well, but even like
He's all shoulders.
his
isn't he?
character,
Yeah.
Massive. didn't do leg day.
Right,
Yeah.
his tiny
Just-
head.
Delts all day, all night.
Well,
Just,
he's just he wasn't even that funny. He was like
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
he just
yeah,
made
yeah.
jokes. Well, he wasn't mental.
Yeah.
He's Spider-Man with a burnt face.
Yeah. Well, that's what
Yeah.
he was supposed to
Yeah.
be, wasn't it?
And then they made him mental, and then
Yeah.
they made him really mental.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they made him the fourth wall king.
Yeah. And then it sort of went
And
from
now
there.
he's a flipping monster. It's just
Yeah.
grown out of
Yeah.
what anyone could have ever imagined
Yeah.
he would have done.
Weirdly, like I say, the popularity of characters that were originally supposed to be parodies. Like,
Yeah.
'cause he was a parody of Deathstroke,
Deathstroke,
wasn't he?
yeah,
And,
yeah.
and Spider-Man,
His
he was
name
really-
is like is way
Yeah.
from
Yeah,
Slade
Wade
Wilson.
Wilson.
He's
Slade
Wade
Wilson,
Wilson.
yeah.
It's ridiculous.
So it's a complete rip-off. Yet he's actually more popular and everything than Deathstroke.
Yeah.
But it's like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was supposed to be a
was
rip take of Daredevil.
Daredevil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like all the ninjas and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, because they're the foot, aren't they? The foot
Yeah,
one
yeah.
instead of the hand.
The hand.
Yeah.
And like the toxic ooze are supposed to have. It's like the ooze
The ooze that went into his arm.
Made him blind.
eyes,
Yeah.
and that's the same.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like when I figured that out, I can't remember where I saw that. It wasn't that long ago, and I was like, "That's
It's
so
on that
messed up."
documentary.
Yeah.
It might have been.
I saw
yeah.
that documentary.
And I was
Yeah.
like,
Really good.
"What?"
It's a good
That messed with
documentary.
my
Yeah,
brain so
yeah.
much.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and then it all started falling into place.
Yeah.
You're like, "Oh, the whole time."
It's
man.
so
So
ridiculous.
stupid.
But that
The
goes to
stick.
Oh
Yeah, yeah.
Splinter.
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
That's the thing.
It's not even
Yeah.
subtle, is
No,
it?
it's
Really.
really a
Right.
proper joke.
But that was it. It was supposed to be, and then. But that again, maybe it's this evolution. Like Deadpool has evolved with time.
Yeah.
The Turtles, if you were to look at even the most recent films, I'm not recommending you look at the most recent films.
Definitely not
Yeah.
recommending that you look at the most recent film.
No.
Yeah,
I'd
they're
say
really
steer clear of
freaky. They make my daughter cry. Like Ellie
It's really-
Yeah.
freaks her out.
Yeah.
They are horrible.
They made me
Yeah,
cry.
yeah, they're like proper monsters.
So bad.
But those characters have evolved with the times. Like
Yeah.
because you go back and watch the 80s cartoon, which is
Yeah.
nothing like the comic.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
But then you get like the 90s comics and the cartoon, and it evolves. And
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
even
just-
because if you look at all the cartoons,
Hmm.
they're all different, but they're all good in their
Yeah.
own way.
yeah,
And the comic now is
pretty good.
really good.
Pretty solid actually,
Yeah.
and that's another one I've read bits of, and it's been really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, but they've completely changed loads of stuff in it.
Yeah.
But
But
it feels like
Turtles.
Turtles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they've always kept that core concept.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. That's what it is. Like you say, when you change Captain America to
Yeah.
become a Nazi, it takes away that core concept.
Mm.
But the Turtles can, they can change their outfits,
Yeah.
or change their stuff, but they'll always be party-loving, pizza-eating
Yeah.
Yeah.
ninjas.
What do you think is the formula then to modernise them? Like, what do you think it is that like those '90s comics that haven't quite been reformed yet,
Just,
are lacking?
The good thing
new
about the
stuff?
90s comic is easy to solve because
Yeah.
all you need to do is add substance.
yeah,
That-
yeah,
that's-
Yeah.
Actual writing.
There's loads that have just like Spawn. I'm amazed that that's gone on
yeah.
as long as it has.
Spawn is an amazing thing. Though. I love Spawn.
Yeah.
It's one of my biggest guilty pleasures.
Yeah.
Where
But
sort of
it's
like
so
I will read
graphic.
it in the
Yeah.
dark, so no
Yeah.
one knows. I've
Yeah.
got the big
Yeah.
hardback editions.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think the
But you
first
read it-
early on, like you've
Yeah.
got the origin, which
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
and then you've got like when Alan Moore and Grant Morrison and stuff, they all did work on it. And
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
then it was good. After that, everything's just
Yeah.
forgettable and
Oh, it's bland as hell. It's
Yeah.
generic, super
Because
super generic.
it's
but-
all looks cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's all just visual. So all you need to do is add a bit of
Yes.
add a good story,
Yeah.
and then you've got like
Yeah.
Spawn could be number one.
Spawn
Yeah.
could have been an amazing
I mean,
series.
that's
if
one
Todd
that-
McFarlane actually let go
Yeah.
Yeah,
and let someone else write it, the
Yeah.
concept for that story could have been amazing.
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
But-
Yeah, I think it's like if it can fit into like 12 episodes on Netflix, like
Yeah.
essentially, if you've got enough story for that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
then that's the formula.
Yeah.
Subtract the of the times sort of like look.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then
Just
don't
subtract
like,
shoulders.
but
and
then-
guns.
yeah.
they
Add
always go
substance.
wrong when when they try to. They're like, as soon as someone starts making it, and thinks, "Oh, I'm not sure this will work,"
Yeah.
then that person should be removed from the project
Yeah.
because that's always where. I mean, look at Iron Fist. It's just because you can tell that they were like, "Oh, I don't know if this will work. I don't know if this will work," and they've taken that much out of it that no one likes it.
Yeah.
Well,
And they
weird-
do it all the time.
No, you're
They do
right.
it with
I
all
mean,
sorts.
because going back to Spawn, like I said, the two contrasts for that is, like Todd, I do like it, and I think some of it's really good. And actually,
Yeah.
Todd McFarlane got stronger as he went.
Yeah.
And then I haven't read the more recent stuff
Yeah.
because I grew up.
Yeah.
I'm no longer 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just you realise now you can just buy a poster and be just as pleased.
Yeah, seriously. Oh, can I buy some
Just-
Capullo,
yeah.
some Greg Capullo art?
Just do an
Excellent.
Yeah. Do an image search. and,
Yeah. But they gave the two characters Sam and Twitch their own series. I think they
Yeah.
did like 24, 25 issues. And Brian Michael Bendis wrote the first 18 issues.
Mm.
They're really, really good.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like legit, like detective horror comic.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
Because the writing is solid.
the concept's there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It just needs the
Yeah.
substance.
Yeah.
I mean, the irony of it is, they do some on Twitch. There's two references to Spawn, so you know it's in the same world.
Yeah.
But at one point, like Spawn, like he appears and he's like, "I need you," and they're like, "Fuck off," and they go, "Okay," and it's like,
And that's it.
and it's sort of like you think, "Oh, brilliant," and then you
Yeah.
just carry on.
They're doing a new film, aren't they?
I hope so. I really do.
keep
hope so.
hearing that Spawn's going to be like a ghost in it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Something, and
Well, that was the thing because they did the other series. I recently on Twitter on eBay because they did Spawn the main book,
Yeah.
and then they did Curse of Spawn and then the Hell Spawn, and each of them
Yeah.
ran for like a limited series. And I've got them all in the floppies from back in the day. But recently, the hardback edition of Hellspawn was on eBay. But started at 99p,
Yeah.
and I was like, keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on that. Brilliant, nice, big, lovely hardback edition. £120 it went for at the end.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so people do
Yeah.
like it
Oh,
and
yeah,
will
yeah.
pay for
It's
it.
got it's got that.
Oh,
Cool
well, the thing is,
fan
I,
base.
I like.
Yeah.
I know it's crap, but I
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah.
It's still got like
Oh
that.
yeah,
It's like, oh yeah, Spawn's well cool.
yeah.
I don't really know
I know.
why.
I love
No.
anything with the clowning. To be fair,
Yes,
Like,
yeah.
I love the
Yeah,
clown.
I will admit the film is crap, but again, it's one of those films where I'll watch it and then you watch it to the end and you go, "Yeah, that was crap."
Yeah,
Yeah.
you want to like
Yeah,
it.
to
Yeah,
be fair,
I
it
really
gets
do.
worse as it goes on. Like
Yeah.
once it gets
Yeah.
to hell, like once all the background is CGI and stuff,
Yeah,
you're
oh.
like, oh man, this is
Yeah, that's,
This
that's
is
Oh, it's
bad.
become a corn video.
Yeah,
Oh,
it is,
not-
like
not-
that like
not a good one.
cartoon fire in the back.
yeah,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's so
Yeah,
man,
it's not good.
painful that bit.
That I think that's a big part of why these things get forgotten, though,
Yeah.
is because like they'll try,
Mm.
there'll be something, and
Yeah.
like you say, they take so much away from it that when it gets into the mainstream and it doesn't work,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
lose faith in the core material.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
But
when
how
everyone's
long
like,
do you think
"Oh."
it'll
Yeah.
be-
They sort of blacklist it, I suppose.
Yeah,
don't they?
exactly.
Like,
yeah, everyone sort of starts to really rail on it for no
Yeah.
reason.
How long do you think it'll be until people don't know who the Fantastic Four are?
Oh
Well,
no, that's already happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you know what I
Like,
mean? It's
legit.
gonna come to a point in 5-10 years time where people where you're like,
Yeah.
remember the Fantastic Four, and they're like,
That-
Yeah.
it's quite scary,
Huh?
really.
Oh,
Like, yeah.
because they're not even in the books anymore.
No,
They've just eradicated them.
but
Yeah.
again, I'm not. I know why Marvel have done it, or I know
Yeah,
why
yeah.
the big guy at Marvel has done it. But they're owned by Sony. Who owns?
They're owned by Fox, who own X-Men as well.
So all right. So
Yeah.
but this is what I'm confused about then. So he's completely like wiped out the Fantastic Four,
Yeah.
I think they were trying to wipe out the X-Men,
but they've completely reversed that.
and I
model.
think I'm not entirely sure. I might be wrong on this, so don't take my word entirely. But he has become the guy that owns it,
Yeah.
Ike Perlmutter or something like that, has become part of Trump's cabinet,
Seriously.
I think, or he's doing
Right.
something with Trump.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if he's taken a bit of a step back from Marvel
Yeah.
and someone else has taken over, and that's why. Because as soon as whatever's gone on, that's when the X-Men have come back.
Yeah.
So
So you
I
might
don't-
see the Fantastic
you might see
Four
the
come
Fantastic Four come back.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed, because
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind.
If
I
they
do
did.
like
'Cause
the
that would,
Fantastic
yeah,
Four.
that'd be a sad time if, like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
they were just forgotten.
They're the ones that connected every character in the Marvel
Yeah.
universe.
Yeah.
They found everyone. They
Yeah.
found Black Panther. They would have met the Guardians of the Galaxy
Yeah.
at some point.
All
and
the
then-
cosmic stuff was just
Yeah,
fantastic.
it was
Yeah,
them.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and Namor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So every part
Well,
of it. Spider-Man.
They are they're the Marvel's royal family, aren't
Yeah.
they? So to have them broken up, I mean, I was never like massive into them,
Mm.
but having them there, they were always
Yeah,
like,
and Doctor Doom as well. He's like the biggest villain.
Oh yeah.
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
him,
What of it?
Red Skull.
They're like A-list. They're at the
Yeah.
top. They're like the granddaddies of the Marvel universe. Just on that fact, Doomed, the documentary about the Roger Corman
Yeah.
Fantastic Four film,
Yeah.
is currently on Prime. So if
Is
you've
it?
got
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So it's on my watch
Well,
list.
I've seen
and
the
I-
actual film.
Have you?
Yeah,
I've not
yeah.
seen it.
I saw it ages ago. I think it was back in the day when LimeWire and Kazaa.
Oh,
yeah.
I downloaded it was in the first Fantastic Four film,
Mm.
and I downloaded it. I was like, oh yes, I was really excited, and it was that, and so I watched it all,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it was terrible. I just remember thinking, this isn't the film that's coming out,
Yeah.
but I'll watch it anyway.
I still think the thing in the Corman version is still better than what happened in the
I
most
don't know.
recent version.
After watching the film, there's,
Oh, really?
there's a bit in the middle of the film. There's like a crowd of people, and he's running through as the thing, like, get out of the way. And then, like, halfway through, he turns into a human again, and he's like looking at his hands, like, oh, and then he carries on, and then he's the thing again.
For that one shot,
I don't know
Yeah.
what.
we
He was
forgot
just
to
like,
put him in
oh my
Scottish.
god, yes.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm the thing again.
That's so
The-
weird.
Again, going back to things that I've forgotten about that.
Bizarre.
You know, like you said about 90s films. And
Yeah.
There's a Marvel contingent of these films. You know, like you get the box sets of like the new, the Blu-ray, the 4K release of Civil War and Iron Man, all this other stuff. There are Marvel films that nobody seems to talk about. So
yeah.
there was the Corman Fantastic Four, which I'd
Yeah.
love to see released again.
Yeah.
there's a 1991 version of Captain America film.
Where he's a motorcyclist.
No, this is after that. So there's them. They're from the 70s,
Yeah.
where he's a stuntman with a
Yeah.
motorbike, which is
Yeah.
Red Brown, the guy who plays him, who was
Yeah.
a stunt motorbike. So they're awful. Like
Yeah.
Captain America is basically a hippie,
Yeah.
but like it makes no sense. But no, there's a proper Captain America film that's based fully on the comics, but the Red Skull's Italian. But yeah, it doesn't make any sense either. But he's you know Caps has got the ears,
yeah.
right? It's because his ears poke through the costume, which has
Yeah.
never really made much sense, other than
Yeah.
you can hear things. But in the film, they clearly couldn't figure out a way to make his ears pop through the costume,
Yeah.
so they've put rubber ears on the
What?
costume. It's amazing.
That's so weird.
Seriously,
Oh,
there are scenes
no.
where you see him run on and you go, huh, that ear
What
looks
is
really
this?
weird. It's like
Terrifying.
aside and all over the place.
Ah.
Yeah, seriously. There's also the 1970s Doctor Strange,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
which
gonna say.
looks weird.
Yeah.
I want those released as a box set.
I've seen the. Is it like I think it's 90s. It's like Justice League film,
That's amazing.
and it was they all had like really foam
Yeah,
suits.
yeah.
It's like a TV. It's like TV.
It is TV.
Really?
Yeah.
It's two
It's a
two
TV
episodes.
movie,
It was
wasn't
it?
two, two episodes put together that was going to be a pilot for a TV
Green
show that
Lantern's
never got
blue.
made. Yeah,
What?
yeah.
It's blue. I'm sure he's still called the Green Lantern, isn't
It's
he?
he's called Green Lantern.
But he wears
but-
blue.
Yeah, he's blue, dressed like Guy Gardner, but called Kyle Rayner. So it's completely messed
What is
up.
going
It's
on
so
there?
crazy.
Yeah, it's got the Martian Manhunter in it and stuff, and all these other characters that you go, oh, this looks amazing, and you
Yeah.
watch it, you're like, when they move,
Yeah.
like in the costume, sort of like bends.
Oh,
So it's
they're
up, you're
proper
like,
foam.
full on,
Thick
just
foam.
yeah.
yeah, the kind of costumes you get from the costume shop.
Oh,
Like, look
yeah.
at the muscles. It's like,
just-
oh no, I'd rather not.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a bit wrong.
But I mean the Flash TV series.
Yeah.
The first one,
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man.
John
That
Wesley.
is-
Yeah,
That is incredible.
that's
Yeah.
really good, and I was so glad when they brought him back as.
I mean, it's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
but I loved
it's-
it.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, it's one of
Yeah.
them looking back that.
Yeah.
There's one particular episode, and it's like he's against some sort of like semi-Hulk guy. I don't know if it's like supposed to be like Blockbuster or something.
Possibly.
They don't. I don't think they name him.
No.
And he just like he hits this wall, and the whole thing just falls down as one. Like
Yeah.
you know it's a set piece, and it's just
So
really.
You, just,
bad.
you
really
see set
bad.
designers running. Oh shit!
Yeah. But then there's parts of it where you're like, this looks just like the Tim Burton Batman film. Like it looks
Yeah,
like it's in
yeah,
the
yeah.
same place. So
It would have so fit in.
yeah,
Yeah.
especially I don't know why they left it at the time.
It got
Can't imagine.
one season, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Like, it got one, probably quite expensive to do, I suppose.
Yeah.
But like I said, then they brought him back, and he's now Flash from Earth 2
Yeah.
or Earth
Yeah.
3. So
Yeah, he's
John
Indian,
Wesley
isn't he?
Shipp.
Mm.
So
he's
yeah,
Jay Garrick.
yeah. But to be fair to him, like he must have, because that show must have gone away, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't seen his IMDb, so I don't know how busy he was.
It'd
Yeah.
be like
But
TV movies.
But the
like-
moment,
yeah.
the moment he got that phone call of like, "Would you
Yeah.
like to come back to the Flash?"
yeah.
There was no hesitation.
That's got to be
Straight
like
in.
yeah.
He probably ran as fast as the Flash. We're ready.
Yeah.
Okay.
I bet he had to pinch himself at that point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
is this
I
real?
can't believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been dreaming about that his
Yeah.
whole life.
Back on set.
Yeah.
I've done this, eh?
That's
Yeah.
it.
Probably brought the suit with him. I brought the suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't want
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
that. Foam.
yeah. Well, those things, like you say, those 90s things really sort of probably killed off. Like I say, that was alright. That was pretty good, the Flash TV series.
Yeah.
But, like I say, the Spawn film was not good.
No.
Judge Dredd with Stallone was awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that
Um,
took ages for it to come back, didn't it?
Yeah,
And then
well,
when it
yeah,
did-
yeah, that's it.
I mean, even if it's good, it doesn't always necessarily mean
No,
anything.
yeah. But you said about what could you do to redo a 90s character? I think it's keeping the core, like keeping that core element. I think the recent Howard the Duck series,
Yeah.
Mm.
the guys who did Sex Criminals, they
Yeah.
did really good.
Yeah.
Like really enjoyed that series. It was really good, and it felt like a proper updating of
Yeah.
Howard the Duck. It didn't feel like a different character. It didn't feel shoehorned. It felt like a modernisation of
That's
that
what
character.
you want it to feel
Relevant.
right, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, It was that character that had been evolved.
Yeah.
It's when, like I say, when they fundamentally change things, or they go off and like, well, I want to do this, and then they go off
Yeah.
and do it. You're like,
Yeah.
oh,
No, why are you doing that?
yeah,
Why are you changing the things that
Yeah.
make it what it is?
yeah,
It's walking the fine line between the right things to change.
Mm.
The things that are okay, things that don't matter,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then the things that really do matter.
Yeah.
Because that's when you're ruining it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think you're definitely right in the fact that like they need substance, because I mean like if Grant Morrison's anything to go by, it's like you can pick any character. Like
doesn't
people have
matter.
invented the most weird, bizarre characters that make absolutely no sense. But if you write them right, you
Yeah.
can make like a ridiculous character feel completely
Yeah.
like and utterly
Well,
like
as I say,
heart
there's no,
wrenching.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like in acting. There's no small parts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
As long as you make the most of it.
you
Yeah.
get the right team on it.
Yeah.
Like it could happen. And I
Yeah.
think
Look at
that's-
Jeff Johns. He's someone that that's his favourite thing. Taking the crap characters
Yeah. Yeah.
and then doing
Making
something.
them
with
good.
Yeah.
it.
I think, and you're right. You get the right team on it. You know, it doesn't always have to be Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo on Batman,
Yeah.
or whatever. You know, like you say, you can take good creators and
Yeah.
Yeah.
they can do anything
It's,
with any.
it's almost
character.
more exciting when
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know if you found out those two were doing I don't know, Hawk and Dove.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I want to read that. I don't know
Yeah.
why.
I would, because I'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, I want to know what the hell they're going to do with that.
Yeah.
I really would.
Yeah.
Well, it's like I'm a massive Moon Knight fan.
Yeah.
Like I've for years. I have literally got every issue like,
Yeah.
in floppy. Like I went and found them, and I've sort of got them all.
Yeah.
And you know, I think they're fantastic. But that's one of those characters that was created as a rip-off. Like
Yeah.
I don't care what anyone says. How you defend
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
It was created in the '70s to be Marvel's like Batman.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Which is
that
like
was-
how,
Yeah.
like, Green Arrow is the same, wasn't
yeah, that's it.
he? I mean, they weren't owned by the same ones were they, at the time, so
Yeah,
then DC ended up owning
yeah.
both of them. But it's all of them are rip-offs of each
Of
other.
some-
That's it.
Yeah.
They're
That's
all
why-
real tight.
Yeah.
Every character has a mirror
Yeah.
in Marvel and
Oh
DC.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
They're always going to have it.
But Moon Knight's gone through a thing of like, you know, he had several alter egos, and their several alter egos drove him mad, and you know, I mean, at one point, go back to the '90s. There's a '90s one called Mark Spector Moon Knight,
Yeah.
where he literally has he calls them. It's called the Moon Cave at one point.
Really?
Yeah, you're like, you're not even trying
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
And he has like holographic versions of like there's a policeman and all this other stuff, and there's like people he can confer with.
Yeah.
And again, the ideas are good, but it's not great. But then, like I say, and it's just one of those things. It was my guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
Then they announced Warren Ellis and Declan Shelby are going to do a 6-issue run.
Yeah.
Like I was just like, I'm on that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that and that's
Listen,
that,
you get excited, don't you? Because
Yeah.
this character that is like yours,
Yeah,
'cause
yeah.
no one else you know reads it or whatever, and then someone really good is going to have a crack in it,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
And then you saw the art, and they brought him back as Mr. Knight, and he wears like the white suit.
Oh,
And
Yeah.
at first, I was a bit like, oh,
What
this
is that?
is
Yeah.
going to be awful.
Yeah.
And then after the first issue, I was like, I am in for this.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Like,
Yeah.
it's been amazing. Then he's gone through some of the iterations, but he's a character they can't pin down.
Yeah.
And I think whatever we say about Jeff Lemire, we will say things, I'm sure. But his most recent one of like bringing it back to sort of like a baseline for the future. That character's the more I've seen of his recent run,
Yeah.
people talk about it more and more.
Yeah.
But it's because he's evolved. But the core concept of a nutter,
Yeah.
you know, who thinks he's the avatar of the moon god, is still all there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like,
That's
why?
that's such a unique concept as well.
Yeah.
Even though it's
Yeah.
a rip off of Batman, putting that on him,
Yeah.
it's almost it's almost a shame everyone knows about Deadpool because that was first, and that's
Yeah.
it's almost you could handle that with more gravity
Yeah.
than could Deadpool anyway because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not funny. You
Yeah.
can you can make it like
Yeah.
what the hell is going on? I mean, look at Legion, like
Yeah,
recently,
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
which is another character that no one knows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But watching that series, just no idea what's going on. If you
Yeah.
had a Moon Knight like that,
Yeah.
Oh, I pray for like a Moonlight
There's
Netflix.
rumours,
They
isn't
keep
there?
talking
Yes,
about
rumours,
it.
Yeah.
I mean, you go back to was it Houston who did the series in the early 2000s,
Mm.
and it starts with like this whole thing of because there's been a massive break for years of like the Moon Knight just hadn't been mentioned, and they brought
Yeah.
him back for this thing, and it's a real like horror focus. And then you find out he's been sort of like in a wheelchair, his body's gone to crap, and he feels all the pain and stuff. And then you find out like no one will talk to him with him because he literally lost it, and using one of his like Moon Knight throwing star kind of thing. It's Moon Knight Batarang, from one of the
There's
better
like
phrase.
there's like an eclipse thing. And stuff
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah.
Crescent Moon.
Yeah.
He used it to cut the face off one of his enemies,
Oh,
and you're like, oh right,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is it's just gone turn left.
Nice.
But like you say, the character just sort of like has evolved and evolved.
Yeah.
That's what you need.
It's a bit of excitement.
Yeah.
So if you guys could bring a character back from any era that you don't think gets appreciated, and you could get a high flying team on it, like
Yeah.
you know, one of those like high blockbuster creative teams, who would you want to see back?
My two, I've got. I mean, there's the Tick. He's still. He's not unknown because they've got the TV shows.
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
But I do love the Tick, and Flaming Carrot.
Flaming Carrot. I don't even know that.
Well, this is a character. Remember the film Mystery Men?
Yes.
They were characters from the Flaming Carrot comic book, and he is a guy. He's got a giant carrot
For a head.
mask for a head,
Right.
and it's like fire coming out the top of it, and he's basically mental from reading too many comics. It's like a kind of like a pastiche on the old too many comics makes you stupid kind of thing. So I think he read something like 1,000 comics in one night, and then thought he was a superhero.
Yeah.
But it's just the most ridiculous. I can't really describe much. It's so nonsense. Like the first one I read, I remember he had this because he kills people and stuff. But in this one, he was trying not to kill people.
Yeah.
So he had this baloney shooter, and it's just like a bazooka, and it just shot slices of baloney. And there's this guy, and he's a little. I can't even remember. He's a little weirdo, like chasing him. He's like, "I'm gonna get you," and he's like, "Take baloney." And he talks because he's mental. He talks really. He's like, "Take baloney." No. And just says simple words. And, but he just it's just like slapping him in the face, and the guy's like, "It's not gonna work." So he rams it down his throat and shoots all of the baloney, and he's just like dead with baloney just falling out of his. And it's the weird. I remember just thinking, what the hell is going on?
Yeah. What year
And
was
you-
that? That sounds very 90s.
I think it is 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's around the same time as like the Tick and stuff.
Yeah. Those comedy
It's worth looking into. They're very.
Do you know who
funny.
wrote it? Do you remember?
Yeah, Bob Burden.
Right.
And it's the same. Yeah, there's one. The one with the Mystery Men in is probably the best one. And because it's called Das Boots.
Right.
And there's like a legion of zombie Nazi boots trying to march to war still. So they have to fight the Nazi boots.
Yeah.
And it's got like Mr. Furious in and the Shoveler and all of that.
Excellent. That sounds really good.
Yeah,
that sounds really imaginative and actually quite good fun.
They're all in black and white.
Yeah.
It's like that kind of thing where they're just
Easy to do, isn't it?
yeah, but really worth reading.
It's something that if you were to give that to like Garth Ennis, I'm pretty sure he would like.
See, I don't like Garth Ennis, so
Really?
that really upset me. But
I take that back.
but it's one of those things where you kind of like, I don't know who I'd want to give that to.
Yeah.
I don't, and the same with the Tick. Like, if it wasn't, because I know they still do them, and they're not that great.
Yeah, that's
They're
something
a
I
bit
feel
like weak.
Yeah.
But if Ben Edlund did more Tick, I'd be straight. His like early collected stuff is amazing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
funny. I know we've got one on the shelf just because.
You wanted it.
Yeah. So I've got to have one on the shelf at least. And
I can imagine that if that's really successful on Prime, on Amazon, like you will get a reissue of those books.
yeah, definitely.
It should be really
But
cool.
it's because they're owned by New England Comics. It's not.
Yeah.
It's really
They're
small.
really
That's
small.
all they do.
Yeah.
So it's kind of. It doesn't get the push in it
No.
it could have. But then.
Well,
Such
with the backing of like
Yeah.
some Amazon money, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure you could
Yeah.
get a cut from. If they were going to get some money back, I'm pretty
But
sure
then
they'd do
you
it.
wonder, will it change it? And then
Yeah.
it's that. Then I'm the victim.
Yeah.
I'm the Mardy. I'm the Mardy guy that's moaning about.
It's not
my tick.
Hashtag not my tick.
Yeah.
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 Jordan, what you
On,
mean
well, just on tick related stuff, like as I just wanted to give a shout out to, there was an old Marvel character called Ice Cream, who his ability was that he could turn into any flavour of ice cream. Which I thought,
Really?
yeah, it was like
What's
amazing.
this from?
It was just like in an old X-Men one. There was a bit with there's a
I should've
clown
known it was
called.
an X.
That was
Yeah.
his mutant power.
Yeah, that was his power. Like, so he used to melt into ice cream to go underneath things. It's so
So
stupid.
basically, you can turn into a liquid, but do you know what? Tastes awesome.
Yeah.
But that's like in the Tick, you've got Buttery Pat,
Ah.
who's a man made of butter, and he used
Yeah.
it to like slip between. And he worked for the bread master, who was like the chef, and he makes a giant souffle.
Yeah.
So you
that
got to
when
admit,
it
like,
explodes,
yeah.
it'll destroy
There's
the city.
something about those ridiculous, like
Nonsense.
it's like Earthworm Jim kind of like
Oh,
characters.
yeah.
Jim.
Like
Now that was a
that's-
cracking
yeah.
thing. That was.
it's just like
Why,
ridiculous.
why don't they make an Earthworm Jim comic?
That
No
that
idea.
should have happened.
Yeah.
Because
Like, that was a
easily
really
just carry that on. It's not
Yeah.
fair anymore. It's not going to cost loads of money.
no. And there's a licensed comic. That must be. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure because
Yeah.
there's the cartoon and everything. So I'm looking
Yeah.
at your T-shirt and I'm looking at
Oh,
things
yeah.
on there because it's a quality T-shirt.
I think
But
so,
I'm like
yeah.
in Rocco's Modern Life.
Yeah.
What are the monsters?
Ariel Monsters.
Yeah.
Oh,
What is it?
yes.
I love that. Angry Beaver and
Ren Stimpy.
Ren and Stimpy. Hey Arnold.
Arnold.
Like all these sort of
Yeah.
characters were like quality. But
Yeah.
I tell you what, they should get the treatment that Hanna-Barbera characters
Yeah,
recently got
man,
from
yeah.
DC.
Yeah.
That's
Just
how you
a-
bring
yeah.
things back.
Yeah.
Well, especially I've not read all of them. I've read, but as I was saying to you earlier, the Flintstones one. Because
Yeah.
it still feels like the core of what the Flintstones was, which is like making fun of the way we live our lives now
Yeah.
by making cavemen do it with nonsense things. And,
Like
and it's so relevant. You read it and they've got. It's like they have issues about racism, issues about religion, but all done in this comedic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's a satire book,
Yeah.
but with cavemen, with the
Yeah.
Flintstones. I mean, that's what Flintstones is, satire.
Yeah.
It's so good. I can't recommend it enough.
Yeah.
So
it's-
taking a concept, giving it substance,
Yeah.
and
But
doing it
keeping-
well,
yeah.
but keeping that core
Yeah.
element.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
how you reboot
I
things.
think I'd like to see, like, I mean, it's not so forgotten because it's had a few little bits and pieces along the way, like the games and that. But I'd really like to see someone get like a good version of the Darkness, you know, like the image comic, like the top
Yes.
cow of the Darkness, because it's like. Again, it's kind of like Spawn because it looks really cool, but like when you get into it, it's like there's not been many versions where you're like, oh yeah, man, like really, really loving this. Like some of the games are good, like
Really
yeah,
good.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
were really fun to play,
Yeah.
but like I think you could. Because of like the way the story works, like I think that could be if you've got like a gritty sort of writer on there, you've got like the sort of the mafia-esque side of it. You've got like that sort of dark, like brooding underground situation, and then you've got like the ridiculous, over-the-top supernatural side. And if you balance those right enough, like you could, I mean, a lot of TV series do sort of like you know weigh that line in between where you've got the realism and then you've got like the sort of the weird supernatural, dark, occultish sort of side of it. And like I reckon that'd make, if you got the right team on there, you could get a really decent TV series out of that, and like a good run of comics that
That
get
would be
people
Yeah,
into
easy.
it because it's got that
It's
style
why
that's
you're
really
surprised
significant, like
It's not.
as big as
There,
it
there's
is.
no because I've had a few people come in and asking about like books and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
is there any out? And you're like, no.
Yeah. I don't think there's a current series.
No,
If
I
they're
don't
still
think there
doing
is, no.
Spawn as a
Yeah.
series,
Yeah.
why can't they do that? Like,
Yeah.
Well, the Darkness is one of those
People
again because it comes from. It's Top Cow,
It's
isn't
Top
it?
Cow, yeah.
And it was Mark Silvestri that did the art, and I
Yeah.
loved his art. And so I've read some of that. It's one of those though that I don't know the continuity, so I would definitely go back and read
Yeah.
it because it looks amazing. Like the concept is really cool.
Yeah, yeah,
But I don't think I've ever recognised anyone who's written for it.
yeah,
yeah.
So it's always like
But that's the 90s, isn't it?
yeah.
yeah.
Art,
That's it.
rock and roll
Yeah,
art.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that
that's
was it. It came out in the era because you've got like Witchblade and stuff
Yeah.
that times in with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And so like you've got that sort of mini image verse where you've got
Yeah.
like Darkness and Witchblade that tie in. And I know they've done stories where it's like it sounds like they've got us because they did like Artifacts, which was like all
That
of
was
their
cool.
bits
I
and
read the
pieces.
first volume of that.
Yeah.
And that was actually really good.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I found Witchblade a little bit off-putting for a weird reason, but like simply because it's one of those comics where you're like, you know, like you say, we're an adult comic. Why? Because
Yeah.
we can show her boobs.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh. So the costume thing, I'm like,
Yeah, there's no costume.
yeah, that's what I mean. And I'm sort of like, I'm sat there reading this, and I'm
That's
you
all it was,
You
wasn't
get
it?
to the end
Yeah.
of the book, and I'm like, I feel a little bit uncomfortable and
Yeah.
dirty having
Yeah.
read that.
Because it is.
Mm.
It,
Yeah.
It's just from a time where it's like, right, you've got to do 30 pages. and you just draw. Well, they just drew what they wanted to draw. For
Yeah,
30
yeah.
pages.
Yeah.
And then someone goes over it with speech bubbles that
Yeah.
fit
and has
the
to
art.
fit
Yeah.
the story
Yeah,
into
yeah,
it.
the Marvel way.
Yeah. But
Um,
what's behind those is really cool though. Like you've got these old sort of like really old ancient like sort of like elements that attach themselves to people, and then they sort of they're continuing their battle through the people that they've sort of invested in. Like they have a symbiotic relationship with them, and like it's like there's plenty of stories that are sort of similar that have done better. So I don't really get why, you know, like
It's just never caught on, but it could do.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, and I don't know what the top selling things are. But again, they're not one of the big two. Image is even like, you know, creeped up on that, so they don't get the
Yeah.
promotion maybe.
Yeah.
Um,
But I mean,
but-
Image at the moment, they're doing like quite
Yeah.
well, aren't they?
Yeah.
They seem to be nailing it. Like,
Yeah,
some really
so-
good stuff.
I guess it just depends on creator ownership and
Yeah.
if they want to do any more.
yeah.
So
I guess it's if they're allowing it to
Yeah.
like to dole it out to
Yeah,
people
yeah, yeah.
that want
That-
to
and
take it
that's-
on board,
yeah.
sort of thing.
Well, it's like the Valiant books as well.
Yeah.
You know, I've read some of those. I've even read some of the others, like the Exo Man of
yeah, they're
War,
Yeah.
all like.
Bloodshot, and all that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
some of them are really good.
Yeah.
It's something like the most well reviewed publisher
Yeah.
currently.
Yeah.
Like consistently, like
Yeah.
everything I've read has been, if not great, has been good.
It's
Yeah.
been good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've gone, I'll read more. Of
and
that.
a lot of them, if they start off good enough,
Yeah,
they usually get better.
yeah,
That's what I've found. So they'll put new people on them, and it'll get.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's another one I think sort of like
It was like
doesn't get enough.
Shadow Man.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
They just don't seem to get enough attention.
No,
That I think you know.
but I think that's a lot. A lot of it is where we are. So
Yeah.
in America, Valiant's quite like they've grown quite a lot in a short space of time. But over here, we don't really get much
No.
forum and. But
No.
I think over there they get loads of POS stuff. So they have
Yeah.
like big standees of.
Oh,
Exo
really?
Man of War, like hey,
Yeah.
Yeah, come read my comic.
come read
Yeah.
my book, and we don't get any of it.
It's a
so.
shame because, like you say, all we get. I mean, look at the stands. You've got like your DC, your Marvels thing, but then when you look at Image, you get their A-list books like Walking Dead,
Yeah.
and a few others. But there's so much stuff that clearly doesn't get.
There's a lot of stuff we get in on subscription, and but I won't really get many more in.
Yeah,
Rat Queens has just seemed to have picked up recently.
yeah,
Kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah.
We had it in before, but no one picked it up.
Yeah.
And then the
Yeah. I
new
don't
one
know where
came
that's
out.
come from. Really.
yeah.
It's dead weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, there'll be a few, and
Maybe just takes, like say, just one little bit of attention or something to kick one off.
a lot of them now. I think you just need a TV show or a film.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah,
changes.
just some
Yeah.
like multimedia attention,
Yeah.
and you get something.
Like
this-
Outcasts. Just
Yeah.
Oh, I
Like,
love that book.
I was getting
Like,
one issue in, and
Yeah.
now I get 3.
Yeah, and I've been collecting it. Oh,
It's
I tell you
going
what,
300%.
Yeah.
Boom!
Yeah.
You guys, I tell you what, you guys laughed all the way to the bank.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's it.
that was a big one.
Yeah, but I'm collecting that in trades,
Yeah.
and I'm really
And they're
enjoying
the best
that.
way to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
So you're better off just.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Some you kind of like. I just want to read the next one. And
Yeah.
if you're up to date, like Saga,
Saga.
Yeah.
which is like the #1.
I was gonna say that's another
Image
headline
title,
title, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I say with the thing with the Outcast, I've been getting it like the 5-issue trades or whatever, and then they release their deluxe hardback
Oh,
book,
yeah.
and you're just like, damn you!
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really nice. Going back to the books, like you say about the 90s,
Yeah.
something just popped into my head about sort of like the craziness of the 90s and start like these blockbuster creators. And I know you guys have mentioned before, like you don't really sell 2000 AD.
Yeah.
Like just
Yeah,
no
yeah,
call for
yeah.
it. No call
Yeah.
for it.
Well, we've got one subscriber now.
Oh
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
So it's
So
happening.
doing it old school.
That's it.
It's-
I was going back through some of my old issues not long ago, and there's some stuff in there that like Zenith from Grant Morrison we talked about before should really I think get more attention. It's amazing. But like Mark Millar started on 2000 AD.
yeah.
And he started with Grant Morrison, and there's a couple of other writers on there as well. James Robinson did
Yeah.
some stuff.
Was
and
it Alan Moore did as well?
Alan
Yeah.
Moore did. He did all the some Future Shocks,
Yeah.
Halo Jones, and all these other things. Sort of started in. There's one called is it DR and Quitch. Basically, it's these two aliens that are just basically they look like 50s rockabillys, but they're aliens.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
just,
I've seen
yeah,
this.
but they're basically like dickheads. They're just
Yeah.
these horrible people. Alan Moore wrote, and it's really good.
Yeah.
Like, I've got the one of the older versions of it. It's really, really good. All black and white art, amazing. But there was a book that Mark Miller wrote, I think sometimes with Grant Morrison, and it's called Big Dave.
All right.
Right, and it's through the sort of like mid 90s. It was in 2000 AD, and it's literally just about a British football thug.
Yeah.
That's it. Like
yeah.
Big Dave and his mates.
Yeah.
And they get into these adventures. Like for 2000 AD, there's no sci-fi in it. There's no horror. It's a comedy.
Yeah.
Sorry, but it's literally like this guy, Big Dave. And at one point, he at the time he met John Major. There's a bit where he goes out and has a fight down the pub. There's a whole issue. Like, there's a whole 3-issue arc where it's just him having a fight down the pub.
Yeah.
And then in one of the annuals they did one, and it was called Little Dave, and it was about him as a boy. And it's like, the entire thing is about how is his dad telling him off and calling him a pufter.
Really?
And you're like, yeah.
See what made him that way.
Yeah, and you figure out why he has to be so tough.
Yeah.
And it's like, but like, no one has ever heard like I've said
No.
with people, even people I know that have read 2000 AD. I'm like, do you remember Big Dave? And they're like,
No.
no, what is it?
Yeah, what
and
is
he's
it
all
about?
pull out and go, do you remember? And they go, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, there's some weird stuff in there. There's a bit in there where he goes to Scotland just to go to have a fight with someone. It's just like nonsense. But you can see it's Mark Millar going, yeah, let's see what happens. I'm going to
Yeah.
do this. And he also wrote another one, which I would love to. It's almost like Robocop-ish, or it's like Robocop crossed with Short Circuit. It was called Maniac 5,
All right.
and it was about a soldier who killed in battle, but parts of his body, not his brain, but parts of his body were used in the biometrics of this robot.
Right.
But his essence remains, and then basically his spirit comes back and possesses this robot that's Maniac 5.
Yeah.
And then he has to fight his way out to get to his family. And then when he gets
Yeah.
there, they're like, yeah, you're a giant robot. A bit hard to live with you. And stuff like that. And I just think, there's so many like 2000 AD stuff. I don't know what they're doing now.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's all
So
average
I think
to good.
all of their
But-
talent was like hoovered up by
Yeah.
DC at the time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
No,
then-
like those raiding
Yeah.
parties of like the early
And
to
then
late
since
90s.
then, I guess people just went straight
Yeah.
to them.
I don't know who's writing stuff now. I mean, I know there's obviously like, your Judge Dredd's still going to have like
Yeah.
John Wagner and all those sorts of people.
It's one of those things where now I feel like someone on it now could end up being the biggest thing in 2 years' time, and when they become the big, you wouldn't know that they were on 2000.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's the difference. Isn't it?
Yeah.
You'd be like, it'd be like, oh yeah, I'm a musician and I played a gig in a pub in Derby.
Yeah.
Do you know it? Like, why are you telling me that?
Yeah.
That's kind of how it's become. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
seriously. But you know what they did the part works, where they did the Marvel ones. They couldn't do the DC ones, which I'm collecting, which are quite good. And then they did the Judge Dredd one.
Yeah.
Like every other fortnight you get a
Yeah,
and I got a couple of those. They're quite good. They're in Transformers one at the moment, which
Yeah.
I've sort of had a look at, which
Right.
is quite interesting. I would love it if they did, and like Eagle Moss or Hatchet, whoever does these, you're listening. I would love it if they went off and did like the other 2000
Yeah.
AD
Yeah.
The
stories.
Big Dave collection.
Big Dave,
Yeah.
just because it would only be like one volume, because there wasn't
Yeah.
a great deal, but like
Yeah.
one volume, Big Dave, and then you could do like Road Trooper, like Did you ever see Nemesis the Warlock?
No.
See, all these books were amazing.
Yeah.
Nemesis the Warlock in the future world. This was done by Kevin O'Neill and who did League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and I forget who wrote it. Someone well known wrote it, and it's basically this alien warlock and humans in the future that have basically messed themselves up and all wear big helmets. And it's
Yeah.
weird, but it's about purity and mutants. And it's really messed up and twisted. But
Yeah.
it's brilliant. And other things I'm thinking about there was like another one called do you know Death Race 2000, the film?
Yeah.
So they had one called Babe Race 2000, and it was basically women in skimpy clothes racing bikes and motorcars. And but it was like, but they all had to kill each other.
Yeah.
Mental stuff
Nice.
like that.
Yeah.
But I think that's what I want to see.
Yeah.
Road Trooper.
Yeah.
I want to see all these. There was one called Finn, which I've been able to read like multiple times. That isn't great,
Yeah.
but the art's really really good. And the idea is an eco warrior that is literally has the essence of Mother Earth.
Yeah.
But he's like a dark one, so he uses shadow. So there's a light version, there's a light queen,
Yeah.
and then he is darkness.
Yeah.
And he uses shadow and stuff as his cape and stuff. And the
Yeah.
art was amazing, but basically, the Freemasons in Britain aren't the Freemasons. There is alien race that are using the world and basically want to use it for industrialisation or some other stuff.
Alright.
So it's like this really like big eco message,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it was amazing.
But it might.
So-
I mean, I just think it's one of those things where at the time, because it was like the 80s on it when it was big, and you had that punk thing that
Oh,
was
it's
really
Yeah.
totally
so
that.
present, and
Yeah.
that's what. But now, I guess, I don't know if writers really come. You don't get that a lot now, do you?
No.
Punk-
No.
And maybe that's what kind of stripped the heart from it when
Yeah,
they all
yeah.
left.
Yeah.
And now, because I don't know, maybe because you know, like films are so easy to make now.
Yeah.
Like you can make one on your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's easy to just go out there and send something out, to write it, to do it. It's so easy to do all that all these people have got kind of a different way of expressing it. They don't have to do it through comics, and they might never have been.
No, that's it. Like the creators all go off and do different things.
Yeah.
I think the thing is though, when you look at the guys that came through 2000 AD in the 80s and early 90s, you know, and the one thing that Grant Morrison and Alan Moore always said was having to write 8 pages, like it made you think about how you structured your story. Like you had to do it in 8 pages for that chapter.
Yeah.
And then you think like, you know, Warren Ellis, Grant Morrison, Alan Moore, Chris Robertson, Garth Ennis, all these people have written it for 2008 and they've broken through.
And they're all like the top tiers.
And there's a reason.
Yeah.
I suppose it's true of like all the Americans. Or when you know there's one that writes really, really well. And you see about they got substance.
Yeah.
Scott Snyder, he started as a novelist.
Yeah.
So he knows how to write stories. He knows how to structure
and
a
loads
story.
of them now are just people that he's taught.
Yeah.
So like
they
Tom
do that.
King, Margaret Bennett, James Tinian, and I think he worked a lot with Jeff Lemire at the start. I don't think he taught him, but they're all like
he's unteachable.
Yeah. Don't even. But they're all. I'm sure he's doing. Aren't they doing a DC? DC have done like a class, and it's taught by him.
Yeah. He's one of the teachers.
Yeah.
What is it, like a masterclass thing?
Yeah. It's like only like the elite guy.
You have to be invited.
And he,
That's
he
pretty cool.
teaches it.
Yeah.
And they go on there.
See that? Like, the thing is, like, you're saying, like, you need like a sort of film or something to like to get outside attention to it. Like, I don't feel like we've got something that works for like short form, like 2000 AD. Like, say if you wanted to get little short stories and bits and pieces and to put that out to a crowd, like, I really feel like just in general we could do with like a new age Twilight Zone. Do you know what I mean? It's just like little bursts of story that you can pick from like comics or shorts and that. And then like pop that on the screen.
2000 AD, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
still do that.
Yeah,
that's it.
Like I tell you what, the closest you get is like Black Mirror.
Yeah, Black Mirror is.
Black Mirror's really good, but again, you know, Charlie Brooker. But if you were to do like Charlie Brooker would say, right, break it up. It's not because they got longer, didn't they? There were some like 90-minute ones. But if you would say like, you've got an hour or half an hour. To do
a full story.
To do a full story. Each episode will actually be doesn't have to be sci-fi. It doesn't have to. It could be horror, sci-fi, comedy, whatever.
It's got to be weird.
But it's got to a modern. Do you know what? Britain could do it. A modern British Twilight Zone.
Like, just think of all the 2000 ADs you could cherry pick and just be like, right, we'll pop that on the screen.
Yeah.
Like it's just a little bit of a story. Like it's got enough. It's enough far enough left field for people to be like, oh, that's a bit off kilter.
Like,
it'd be amazing. All those new creators that could come through, and you get a couple that come back and that sort of thing. It's really good.
It's dipped so much that its relevance has faded.
Yeah.
So even if you picked it up one day and thought, I'll just give it a read, and it was all the best stuff ever.
Yeah.
It's not
anthology books.
It's not. It's just people don't look at it the same way as they did.
Yeah.
I read. I think I got 3 issues because weekly as well. That's the other thing to keep it up pretty hard. But I got 3 issues in a row last year, and I remember it just being bland. Like it was like science fiction, great.
Yeah.
But it was all standard science fiction.
Yeah, just set in space.
Yeah. Or there was something with the science fiction. You know, there was nothing with that mental Big Dave twist. There was nothing where I go, what is this? I mean, I remember going back
because it's that thing. It's that heart that they've not
taken
got
the
there,
essence away, the mentalness of it.
Yeah.
There was a series called The Clown, which was about. I can't even explain it to you. Where there was a clown that killed people, but it was. He had at one point like his friend was his dead pony. He cut the head off on a stick. Just like stuff like that.
Well up my street.
Yeah, and there was another called Bradley. There was a character called Bradley in the art, and it would seriously check this out. This is from the 90s. There was a kid called Bradley, and the stories were literally about a boy, but the art was so twisted. And at one point he's being babysat by his auntie, so he puts like a snake in her trousers and all these other things. It's just pure ridiculous humour. But the way it's done is so imaginative and so crazy that it's like that is what 2008. That punk rock attitude of like fuck it, let's just do whatever
Yeah.
we want.
Because now it's just people that want to write comics.
Yeah.
And back then it was people that wanted to say something.
Yeah, there was. It had
That's
a,
the difference.
Had, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're one of the best series. There were two stories. Like, there was one called The Button Man, which again was like completely again, like, against the type.
Yeah.
All this mad sci-fi, all this mad horror stuff, and then a story about an assassin.
Yeah.
And it was a British story about this guy called the Button Man, and he was basically called in. At one point, he chooses not to take a contract, so they're hunting him down to kill him. I think it was like 19 chapters.
Yeah.
It was amazing,
Yeah.
Button Man. And they did a couple of other versions and stuff like that. And then it's just the art was always, wasn't
Yeah.
always top shelf, but it
Yeah.
was always interesting
Yeah.
because they could get away with doing all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think 2000 AD, you're right. The reason it's just not relevant,
Yeah.
but it could be.
It could be.
Yeah.
But it's, the tough thing it's getting the right people on board,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I suppose, and you might not. I don't know. And I don't know if even the right people exist in comics at the moment.
Yeah.
That could
Yeah.
that could be it. Because we're in a kind of point where, because everything's so accessible.
Yeah.
So like I say, the people that want to write comics are people that just want to write comics.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, I've always wanted to write comics. Or yeah, I've always wanted to write. It's not like I've got this thing and I really want to put it out there. I've
Yeah.
got this story and I think it'll be good as a comic. It's just I want to write a comic,
Yeah.
and that's the.
Well,
the
it's not
way-
even that.
the way
Because you're right, it's not that I want to write a comic. A lot of them now are I want to write Batman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to write this. And it's sort of like
fan fiction, like extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing, isn't it? Like you could easily split these creators into two groups. I'd say
Yeah.
the ones that are truly good writers, provide good substance, and like a novelist, or
Yeah.
they've come up through the ranks, they've paid their dues, and you know that they want to write a story because they have an idea.
Yeah,
Whenever you hear
they've got a
about
story to tell.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I'll go back to Scott Snyder. When he wrote like The Witches, the idea came from, well, what would it like to be a parent? It was his fear of parenting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a message.
That's
Mixed
it.
with his fear of when he was a kid
Yeah.
going into the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like actually witch hunting with his mate.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
That's it. So you had sort of like, I'm just going to show you this picture. That was Bradley from 2000 AD.
Oh, nice.
Like a
Oh,
twisted
yeah.
version of
Oh, yes.
twisted version of the Bash Street Kids. That was the
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
It's amazing. And then you get others that are just like, no, I want to write Batman, and then you can tell it's almost got that fan fiction-y
yeah.
Yeah.
sort of like fantasy fulfillment element. You're like, it's not
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
bad, but it's not.
And you can
good.
tell a
It's-
lot of what got them there is just because they wanted it more than they were good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
So-
is fair. Like they've
yeah,
made
yeah,
it.
they've
Fair play to them.
Find
But
the way to touch just through sheer.
will
I really want to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the shame. I think, like I say, so if you want to keep a good series going, you need to evolve. It needs substance.
Yeah. But you need to have people on there that actually, like you say, like want to write that. Like
Yeah.
they need to be in it themselves.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's why like a lot of the image stuff at the minute is so good, because a lot of it is creator owned. So it's like
Yeah.
the people that are making it are the ones that made that story, the ones that want to write that story,
Well,
and the ones
they've
that have
got a
got
story
that.
to tell.
Yeah, that's it. Like that's the
Yeah,
difference.
maybe that's where the 2000 AD creators have gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've
Yeah.
all gone to Image
Yeah.
to do the book they want to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
To tell their story.
yeah,
And they're the guys that, when you would have had someone write a crazy story about a girl trapped in fairyland
Yeah,
for
yeah.
40 years,
Yeah.
because I Hate Fairyland would have
Yeah.
fit into 2000 AD in like 1994.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
yeah,
Right,
yeah.
yeah.
Or even like Southern Bastards by Jason Aaron.
Jason
Yeah.
Aaron.
Jason Aaron, yeah. Those sorts of books, like
Yeah,
they were those books, and that's where
Yeah.
now Image has now cornered that market.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. It's just so
Yeah.
there's just so accessible for people to
Yeah,
find other ways of doing it.
yeah.
That the world's got smaller, I suppose. Isn't it?
Yeah.
It's easier to email something to America in
Yeah.
2
Yeah.
seconds than
That's
it is
it.
to.
Yeah. I suppose it is. That's the evolution. Like we said, all the characters have evolved.
Yeah.
I suppose 2000 AD didn't,
Mm.
and so the creators have gone and found that evolution, which is Image.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
And I suppose that's kind of, in a way, it's kind of weird because, like you're saying, like there's lots of forgotten characters and stuff, but now we're in that sort of like ever expanding information web.
Yeah.
Like nothing's ever forgotten. Like
No.
to a degree. Like someone will always find it. There'll always be a picture on Google of it somewhere.
A
You know.
3D map.
Yeah, that's it.
Like,
Someone's
yeah,
always going to
yeah, somewhere.
yeah, he's going to grab it, and then so like everything's sort of kept somewhere in
Yeah.
one sort of tiny little corner.
Well, it's like in Grant Morrison did Final Crisis, and even in Animal Man,
Yeah,
and he had that. There was that world, wasn't there? There's the
Yeah.
other world where all those forgotten characters live.
Yeah.
yeah,
And I suppose that's it. There's a corner of the internet
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
all these forgotten characters live,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and like you can
Just
see
waiting
them.
to be plucked as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
That's it.
bring them back.
Yeah.
I'm gonna email Eagle Moss or Partworks,
Sort
Hatchet
me out a big
Partworks.
deal.
Yeah, sort it out. I'll come work for you. I'll do
Yeah.
it.
yeah,
It's gonna be amazing to bring these back.
Yeah.
Because I think people would get mad from. You look at
Yeah.
the art. I think people would get mad. For
I think there's many people that buy the Judge Dredd collection, that buy the 2000 AD one.
Yeah.
Surely.
Yeah, I got a couple of issues. I got quite a few issues actually. It was really good.
Yeah.
Cool. That's really good fun. Anything else you
Yeah.
want to sort of like cover off before we wrap it up? Anything?
No, I've covered baloney guns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my big
Yeah.
thing.
I think I've learned from tonight. 90s seems
Yeah.
to have been a.
That was it. I think there was a lot of new stuff, wasn't there, in the
Yeah,
90s?
yeah.
That's the kind. Because you've got most of the stuff. I mean, there's all the Marvel stuff kind of came from the 60s, and then you got a few new DC stuff around then as well.
Yeah.
With like the new. I mean, talking of revamping, Green Lantern and the Flash.
Mm?
Yeah.
They were both like
Completely revamped.
yeah. So, and then they kind of just stuck with those for a while, and
Yeah.
no one really cared about it. And
Yeah.
then the 90s, so all of a sudden,
Explosion of mental.
yeah,
Yeah.
like, comics became crazy.
Yeah.
I suppose because that's the first generation of people that really like comics grew
Making
up,
them.
and then they collected them. That's when
Yeah,
they became
yeah.
collectible, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Around
Yeah.
Then.
Bagged and boarded.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so yeah, and that's
Yeah.
when you started getting loads of new ones because everyone started, and that was when Image
Yeah,
first
yeah.
came
Yeah.
about as well. And
Yeah,
that's
there was the-
where all your
You get freedom to do what you want.
yeah
Because when you get everything like say, bologna, like flaming carrot,
Yeah.
the tick, the mask,
Yeah.
the mask, the mask's really good.
like
I
the
don't know if you've
original.
ever read it.
I've read. I found. You know, you sort of find something like a dollar bin or a
Yeah,
charity shop. I bought the Mask Returns, like the second volume,
yeah,
for £2.
Nice.
yeah.
And I was like, bonus.
It's
got that.
good. Like, it's Doug Mank does the art on it, doesn't it? The
Yeah,
first,
yeah.
Like
It's twisted. I thought it was a standalone story. I thought it was like two standalone, but they're actually
yeah,
follow-ons. So
yeah.
I have to get the first issue or the
Yeah.
first volume. But the
Yeah.
first volume's like £40, even like
Yeah,
in
well, it's
shitty
like-
condition. It's
Yeah.
like
Stanley
Mental.
Ipkiss gets it at the start,
yeah.
and he's like, he's really horrible in it.
Oh,
Like,
he's not Jim
He puts
Carrey.
the mask on,
Yeah.
but he becomes like a murderer.
Yeah.
And then the next guy, and then there's different versions of the mask,
Yeah.
and some of them are a bit more like the Jim Carrey one.
Yeah.
I think the cop guy is
Mm.
quite close to it, but they still always turn.
Bad in the end.
Yeah, they always turn
the
evil,
mask
and,
turns.
Yeah,
and he
yeah,
just
yeah.
keeps
Yeah.
killing.
Yeah,
people, 'cause
I mean,
it's
even at
just-
one
it's
point,
crazy.
like a woman gets it in the second part,
Yeah.
and it's just weird. But
Yeah.
it's brilliant. It's amazing. So
That's that. I
I've
mean,
gotta
that
get
is one that if they brought the mask back,
Yeah, yeah.
I would 100% read that.
it. Yeah,
Even if they, you know, if,
Jeff Lemire did it.
Well, that's the other one where they did
Yeah.
the film. Again, they did the film with Jim Carrey, all the special
Yeah.
effects, and the film actually stands up,
Yeah.
kinda.
Yeah.
But it's very removed from the essence of
Yeah.
the comic. I mean, if they did the comic in film, if they did the
Well,
film,
because
like the film,
I know they
it would
redid.
be like 18, and
Yeah.
like it'd be closer to like Deadpool.
yeah, it's because it is grim. Some of it as well.
Yeah.
Like it,
Oh.
but it's funny. It's funny. It's
Yeah.
funny grim, like dark humour.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
It's
Like he'll
violent,
get like just
proper.
chainsaw people's heads off,
Yeah,
and then
just
he'll say
laughing.
like a mask
Mm.
joke afterwards, like
That's what you want.
somebody stop me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
completely different context
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
he shredded them to pieces.
That sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
It's
nice.
really good.
it's really worth seeing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really worth. I mean, Dark Horse then from the 90s
Mm.
did some good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I think that sort of lunacy is what is missing a lot. Like I think there's
There's always a
there's
call
something.
for it because I mean, Deadpool's massive.
Yeah. Yeah.
well, that's the thing. I think people make such a big thing around Deadpool,
Mm.
and I've read the book, and I'm not. It's good, you know,
it's-
and I've enjoyed it. But I'm always like, people are going like raving about it, and I'm like, I was looking at this 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, there was books doing this
Yeah.
Yeah.
back then. So
Yeah.
this is nothing about this is new.
I mean, like, have you read The Goon?
Yes.
Yeah.
The Goon's amazing.
Yeah.
Goon's
and
really
that's
good.
like that feels like it's of that ilk.
It
where
does,
it
yeah.
is.
There's parts of it where
Yeah.
it's really it's like almost tear jerking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it'll just turn around and be hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, the guy who wrote that recently wrote Big Trouble in Little China comic.
Yeah,
with Boom.
yeah,
Yeah.
And that was actually really,
Yeah.
really good.
yeah.
But again, like, he can write, and it was a
Yeah.
good,
Yeah.
it was a well-written story. But the Goon is really good, but it's mental.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. Like it's like it sort of like crosses over a line where it's like it stops being just sort of like people trying to like make stuff into sort of like reality, but like they've gone the complete opposite way.
Oh, yeah.
And it's
It's
like
creative.
what's the most ridiculous
it's
thing we
really
can come up
creative.
with,
Yeah.
and then like let's put that in there.
Yeah.
I think-
Like it feels
you-
like that.
And they make it believable.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you're in the world and you're like, well, there's this world where
Yeah.
he wears a mask.
Yeah.
And then when he puts the mask on,
Yeah.
he becomes this violent killer.
Yeah.
But then it keeps passing around.
Yeah.
And it's,
Well, the
Yeah.
thing even now, like I say, you've got a blank page. Like, it's not like you've got to put a budget to it. You're
Yeah.
not making a film, a TV series.
No,
you can
yeah.
do anything.
Mm.
But then you're like, I know, and the stuff that people rave about today, I haven't really read much of Saga, but I get that there's a bit of lunacy to that.
Yeah.
There's an element of like
yeah,
Brian
Yeah.
K. Vaughan's going, nah, it's good. I'm going to do this mad space opera and
Yeah.
Yeah.
push the boundaries.
but that is exactly it's a space opera. It's,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
massive.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
And I
it's-
will
it's
get into
good,
that one
yeah.
day, I'm
Yes.
sure.
And
Um,
so it's not like it seems like it's going to be a slog,
Yeah.
but you could read
Yeah.
them all in 2
There's
days.
there's a couple.
Fly through it.
I'll say I'm not, looking over like. I see why people move away from the superhero stuff, and I do enjoy the superhero stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm collecting like I Hate Fairyland in trade, and that
Yeah.
is brilliant. Like that
Yeah.
is mental. I want to read Saga at some point in the
Saga is
future.
really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
East of West,
Yeah.
Yeah,
By
I've read
Hickman,
the first
Jonathan
volume,
Hickman?
Yeah.
like that is nuts.
Yeah, it's its own thing, isn't it? Like, you
Yeah.
just-
They've just gone blank page,
Yeah.
go for it.
yeah,
And I do feel that like that lunacy is
Mm.
missing from
Yeah.
comics at the moment, where someone's just gone,
Yeah.
I'm just going to do what the hell I want and,
Yeah.
and go for it.
I think the closest thing I've read recently is probably God Hates Astronauts.
Oh, that's
by
amazing.
Brian Brown, and that's
Yeah, cheesy
it's
tiger.
a King Tiger eating a
Cheeseburger.
cheeseburger. Yeah, that's one of the characters. Like,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I remember like saw the cover and I was like, oh, this could be for all ages.
Yeah.
No, that's
Yeah.
not for all
it's
ages.
not. No, it's just, but it's so silly, isn't
Oh,
it?
yeah.
Like the onomatopoeia in it as well. Like
Yeah.
is like everywhere. Like everything makes a sound.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just so stupid. Like,
That was a really
yeah.
good book. I read a
It
couple of
feels
pages of that.
really fun.
Yeah,
Like,
and that's another way the imaginations ran wild.
yeah.
well, there's like Grant Morrison one, a Sea Guy. I don't know
Oh,
if
yeah.
you've ever
Oh
read Sea
yeah,
Guy.
I've not read it.
Oh man,
It's one of
Sea
the
Guy's-
few ones I haven't read.
The Sea Guy's so good.
Yeah.
It's one of my favourite
Yeah,
Grant Morrison, but it's just like this whole like so it starts off as a sea guy who's just this guy that walks around in a scuba suit.
Yeah.
And there's no
no
rhyme
rhyme
or
or reason to it.
whatsoever. And every day he plays chess with the devil.
Isn't it
who's-
like a flying fish in it?
It's
as well,
like
a
with
fish?
death.
With
Yeah,
death,
his mate's a fish who flies around smoking a cigar.
Yeah.
And then he plays death chess
Yeah.
every morning, and if he loses, death gets to take him to the afterlife. And then he comes out of it. This is just like, as soon as I read this, I was like, this book is amazing.
Yeah.
He comes out of it and he's like, why do you? The fish is going to him. Why do you always play him? You could lose your life. He's like, yeah, but I know one thing he doesn't. He's colourblind. And he just like,
yeah.
it's black and white. It doesn't make no sense. And then
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
And it's never. And it was just amazing.
That's what I mean. Like Grant Morrison is one of those creators that, he's got that lunacy. I
Yeah.
mean, the guy's from Glasgow, so he's going to have that lunacy.
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
that.
He's a chaos magician as well.
Yeah,
isn't he?
exactly.
It's just
Even,
like, he's-
him and Alan
That
Moore.
is lunacy.
that is genuinely.
Seriously, him and Alan Moore, they're almost like, this is a shoe, there's a horseshoe.
Yeah.
They're both ends of that horseshoe. They're actually that close.
Yeah.
They're actually the same person. But, that craziness of I actually really like the new Doom Patrol.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Gerald
been really
Way.
good. Yeah.
It's been really good.
Gerald Way's someone that he gets a lot of stick because he's in My Chemical Romance.
Yeah.
But he's a really good writer.
Yeah, I've
Everything
really
read of
enjoyed
his
it.
has been really
And
good.
again, it's got that lunacy
Yeah,
where it's sort of like you can tell he's gone. No one's going to take me seriously.
Yeah.
No one's probably going to read
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
So do you know what? I'm going to have a talking ambulance
yeah.
and a fictional character that's a nurse and all this other stuff. You're like, it's brilliant.
And
I'm
it's got
loving
that
it. It's
same sort
amazing.
of. It's got that sort of where you feel like you've kind of missed something because there's that much.
I've had to go
there's
back
that
and read
much-
an issue thinking I've got pages stuck together.
Yeah.
You go, no.
Because it takes it. Because it's like it's so existing
Yeah,
already that you're like, what have I missed? Because this is all going on.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it is just all going on.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
I've got
beauty of it.
the omnibus, the Grant Morrison run, and I'm convinced that when I've read that
That,
4 or 5 times maybe,
Yeah.
there's going to be stuff in this run that I'm
Yeah.
going to go, oh, there we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Makes total sense. No, I'm loving it because it's mental.
Yeah.
It's total lunacy, and okay. Anything else then? Because I'm going to wrap up. Because we're going to keep going round and round.
No, yeah, I think that's good, man. But yeah, more.
I'm glad we got the mask in there.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I'd completely forgotten.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Forgotten, not
Yeah.
talked about.
Yeah,
yeah.
Seriously, go find out the mask
Yeah.
and then send me a copy.
How long
'cause
was
it's
it? How
really
long ago was the
expensive.
film made?
97, 96. So you took like 20 years.
20 years. So that's how long Fantastic Four's got, roughly.
yeah.
Comic.
So we'll be back here in 20 years, and you'll be like, do you remember the Fantastic Four?
Yeah, do you remember
Mr.
Michael
Fantastic-
Chiklis?
Yes,
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Captain America was in that.
Yeah, that's all it'll be.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank
No.
you.
Thanks for having us, man.
Oh, it's great. It's been great fun talking about it, and you know, I think we've put the world to rights with Marvel. Hope you were listening.
Yeah.
That's it.
And
The experts are on the case.
that's it. I'm going to go back and I'm going to check out a load of 90s comics now. I think
Yeah.
that's what I want to do. I
That's
want to
it.
go back and check this, like, relive my childhood.
Yeah.
Probably go back and go, you're right, wasn't that
Yeah.
good?
The guns are massive.
yeah. How
Yeah.
do they
It's
move
like,
with
how
those?
do they hold that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a handgun.
Yeah.
That's what you got to think.
Having that many hand grenades hanging off you can't be safe.
No. Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much, guys. I'm sure we'll be back in a future episode.
I hope so.
Yeah, you will be. And, no,
Confirmed.
we've got other things to talk about. We'll put something else to write next time.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, and see you soon.
So there we have another great episode from the boys at Super Shakes. I'm really enjoying these conversations with them. They've reached some good sessions, and they give good audio. So I will be coming back to those at some point in the not too distant future, probably August. Looking at now, actually, sort of a pattern is now forming on how often it is. I will drop in on the boys. If you've got a subject you think I should be chatting with them about, or something you want to hear us talk about, let me know. It'd be good. I'm thinking Saturday morning cartoons of the 80s and 90s next might be a topic. If you've got something similar or you've got something completely different, let me know. You can contact me on Twitter at 20th Century Geek, through Gmail which is 20th Century Geek at gmail.com. I'm also on Facebook under 20th Century Geek, or on Tumblr, or on Instagram, so check all of those out if you want. I'm very active on those platforms. And always open to any form of contact and any feedback at all. Thanks very much. Next week, I'm going to be joined by the guys from the podcast Xenozoic Xenophiles. They discuss, each week they talk about comic book Xenozoic Tales by Mark Schultz, going into detail about the comic, the art, the history of it. It's a fantastic show. Highly recommend it. And talking to them was great fun as well. So catch you next show on the flip side, and have a good time. I'll speak to you soon.